Well, good afternoon and welcome to Number One Sports Ground. And yes, of course, the summer bash for the Newcastle City Council continues here today. And we've got a couple of very interesting sides here today to contest this very important T20 match. It is the Sea Dragons up against the Lions. And joining me in commentary is a man who knows all about cricket. He's a current player and certainly we're looking forward to having a chat with Marcus Hainsworth from the Whips, who was in commentary with me here this afternoon. Marcus, nice to have you here, mate.
Thanks, Pete. Great to be here.
Tell you what, the day is pretty good. Nice sunny day. I don't think it was as windy as yesterday. Yesterday it was pretty windy here, that's for sure.
Mate, it was windy everywhere in Newcastle yesterday, so the wind's definitely calmed down a lot since yesterday, and we look set for a good game of cricket today.
We certainly do, and as you can see, University are batting, and I guess it's going to be a very interesting start here for the Uni team. They have a couple of blokes from Sydney in the side here this afternoon too, Marcus.
Yeah, they've got Scotty Rodgie and Nick Bills. I've played with Scotty as a junior as well for a lot of years. Very good cricketer, and he scored a lot of runs in the Sydney system for a lot of years. So it'll be good to see how he goes. All
right, first ball of the match, and it's Pat Darwin moves in, and a single to start the game here this afternoon. And I guess as the afternoon goes on, we'll see a lot more people coming into the ground to watch what's been a fantastic concept. So Marcus, I mean, we've had some really good games last week, had a good game yesterday, and hopefully we can certainly have another one here today.
Yeah, that's right, Pete. Everyone's scoring a lot of runs here at the moment, so as it just slides down there the leg side, it might have just clipped a bit of pad on the way through as it wasn't a signal to wide. Yeah, a lot of runs scored, a lot of wickets scored, and it's good all-round cricket. Just tries to work it there again through the leg side.
So what do you reckon today, what sort of score do you think you'd be looking at here to make it fairly competitive?
Both really, really serious strikers of the balls on both sides today, Pete. I reckon anything above 140 will be competitive, and I think whoever bats first, being Uni, they'll be happy with 150 plus, which will be very competitive. Very tight over here to start for Pat, just a single down the ground, so he started well.
Yeah, he bowls pretty tight lines, so and as you know, in T20 cricket, that's what you simply have to do. You really got to bowl tight and put the pressure on the batsman, haven't you?
That's a great over from Paddy. He sort of slides the ball on a lot more than others. He bowls a little bit quicker through the air, and that's in two-day cricket, so I reckon that radius of the arm is probably coming from his shoulder, and he's sliding them on nicely.
Okay, now batting for Uni, we've got the fellow from Mossman, Scotty Rodgie. He's wearing the number 10 shirt today. And who we got up the other end there?
I think it's Nathan Hudson.
Yes, it is. It is
at the non-striker's end.
So Nathan Hudson at the non-striker's end. Now, just a quick one while we have 5 seconds. What's happening with Marcus Hainsworth at the moment?
Mate, I've recently got engaged, believe it or not.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. We took 3 weeks off over New Year's and Christmas, and yeah, brought out the big proposal, which I was very happy about, and got the yes. So
was it a romantic proposal, or whereabouts did this all happen?
Well, I'm not a romantic man, so it was as romantic as I can get. It was up at a place called Point Arkwright in Coolum, just next to Coolum Beach. So I was on the sunny coast. We'd had a nice, relaxing day, and it all just fell into place for me. So it was a good holiday, which made it very right for the rest of it. And I think I would have been a single man had I not done it in that week and a half.
It's a wonderful part of your life, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great.
Okay, we've got big Dan Morton coming in. Just a quick single there. Yeah, I mean, it's that time of your life, isn't it, where you've got to sort of settle down and make a commitment. And so, have you set the big date for the wedding?
Yeah, we've set the date and the venue. So it's all systems go for us. We figured that we may as well strike while the iron's hot, and while we're sort of in the bubble of love, so to speak, we will just keep the ball rolling with that. So yeah, it's this year, at the end of this year, and it's in Newcastle. So the planning started pretty much from the word yes, so to speak. So it's good.
I like how you call it the bubble of love. I love that. That's a great saying. I love that one. It's a nice shot.
That's Nathan Hudson flowing into his arc, and it looks like the first boundary this afternoon. So after a tight over from Paddy Darwin, which probably conceded only the one run, Nathan Hudson's now hit the ball for 4 through to the cow corner area. So he looks as though the eye's in to some regard, and probably likes the ball coming on a little bit quicker than the spin of Paddy.
So as a current cricketer, your philosophies and your tactics going into T20s, how do you sort of go about it? What's your plan normally?
For us, out at Belmont, we try to try and maximise the first 6. That's always been key, I think, for a lot of teams, not just in Newcastle but Sydney and respective areas. You try and get as many on the board as in the first 6, and then rely on the lower order if you do lose some wickets early to get a run of ball after that.
As a team, do you have some sort of targets? Like you go, okay, we've got the power play firstly. Where do we want to be after the power play? And do you sort of break it up the whole 20 overs? Do you break it up into bits and pieces?
It's sort of hell for leather for the first 6. Key's bat on ball. You're not going to score too many runs trying to put everything to cow corner. The bowlers, now that it's been around for a few years, have probably got a better concept of the 2020 cricket and their lines and areas. So as much, and as you see more so in the Big Bash these days, that the spinners are probably more economical than the pace bowlers. So they play a big role, and you sort of see them now milking the majority of the first 6, and then the back end, which is probably the second key area you look for at 2020. You try and run a ball, bat on ball with the odd boundary through the middle, and then accelerate towards the end. So as much as 20 cricket's fast pace, you still accelerate the start, milk the middle, and then accelerate towards the end. So
yeah, and there's one other thing that I think is pretty important as well is retaining your wickets too. I mean, you don't want to be losing too many early wickets because that'll sort of stop your momentum and all that sort of stuff. So I mean, in the first 6 overs, if you can get through without any loss of any wickets and sort of build momentum from there, it certainly goes a long way to getting a good score, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Even with the loss of a couple of wickets early, you sort of got to have the confidence in the middle to lower order that they will get you a run of ball. So if you're 3 or 4 for 60 or 6, a run of ball from there on in is going to get you around that 140 mark anyway.
Okay, after 2 overs, the Sea Dragons are none for 7 and another single hit down.
He's happy to do it in the ones at the moment, Scotty Rodgie.
Yeah. Well, I suppose it's like anything, they add up at the end of the day, and if you can get a few cheap, quick singles at the start of the innings, you can sort of press on from there. So pretty tidy so far, Pat Darwin.
He's found the gap there, Nathan Hudson. That'll be his second boundary of the day. Sweep shot off Paddy.
It's a great concept, this one though, for for Newcastle cricketers, isn't it, Marcus? Where you can, come out and I guess play a different form of the game as well. I know that during the season you have T20 games and stuff, but just to play this concept midweek is a good thing, isn't it?
That's right, and it's a concept that you can make a name for yourself. And you see a lot of cricketers these days. It's sort of a pathway into the Australian side through the 2020. If you look at Darcy Short now, that's had a great BBL this year, he's probably now looking towards to further honours. I know Ricky Ponting speaking very highly of him, and years gone by, the old the 2020, which wasn't around 5 years ago, that probably the players weren't getting the exposure that they are now. So as much as it's good for people in Newcastle, there's a lot of people getting exposure in higher places to play higher honours in cricket that probably weren't there years ago. And I mean, it's the same here. You get a young bloke that's given an opportunity for 2020 through unavailability. He can make a name for himself quite early for his club side and then into the rep side. So
grab some shoes for Zach out of his bag.
Taking some good quick signals here, the Sea Dragons, and you know it's none for 15 after 3 overs, a run rate of 5. And the other thing about this is, as you said, exposure is things like Bar TV. It gets you, not just in Newcastle, but I mean, you can have this in your lounge room anywhere around the world, watching this. So, I mean, there's also exposure to other parts of the world too, isn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, I mean, if anyone's looking at the day, they'll see the ground in relatively good nick, good blue skies, light breeze, and it should be a good day, good afternoon for cricket.
All right, Morton's back on. You've probably faced Dan Morton a few times in your career, I would say.
Yeah, I've faced him. I probably wouldn't mind facing him a bit longer than what I have. He's knocked me over a couple of times, so he's been a great bowler for Merewether for a number of years, and he's played a lot of rep cricket in the years that he's been down here. Phenomenal bowler. He even had a couple of years in Sydney to try and further his cricketing down there, but I think he missed the south too much. He likes the cold beer down there. He's not short. Great, tremendous bloke as well off the field. Dan, he's one of the nicest cricketers you'll come across. He's the big gentle giant, as I like to call him. He's just a lovely man. And yeah, I faced him through various squads and teams. I've also faced him a fair bit at training. So he's 22 yards in the net, feels about 17 sometimes. So.
Yeah. I know from my umpiring days he was always a no-nonsense sort of a player. He just went about his business and he did it pretty well in saying that, yes.
That's played through deep backward point. It's rolling away. They'll look to pick up 3. The rope's just marginally in, so it's always a long boundary at the worst of times, and it's still long. Being roped off a bit, but a good shot from Scotty Rodgie for 3 there.
Good fielding too there from Merewether, just on the boundary there, just sort of stopping an extra run there. So all these extra runs that are stopped certainly count at the end of the day, don't they?
Yeah, and momentum can swing probably the quickest out of every format in 2020 cricket. So Nathan Hudson just milking another single there.
So I suppose in the power play overs, you want to try and make sure you at least get about 5-6 and over if you can. That's the sort of the target you'd be looking at, wouldn't you?
Yeah, minimum. I think up around the 50 mark, the late 40s to the 50 mark, especially with no wickets down. You'd want to be around that mid 40s to 50s. But credit to the bowlers, to Paddy and Dan. They've done both a great job at either end here for the first nearly 4 overs through.
Of course, the Whips they had a game last week. Did you get to see any of it?
I did. I was watching. Very closely. I'll just have a quick mention. I was groomsman at a mate's wedding, Clayton, which is older brother of Harrison, and we had a late wedding rehearsal on the Thursday evening, and I unfortunately missed the game. But you couldn't pry me off my phone for the last hour of that. I was watching pretty intently, so the better half, I did say the bubble of love, but it almost burst in that hour.
yes. The priorities went other ways for a little while. But cricket's like that, isn't it? When you're a player, and you're not playing, you're always interested in what's going on. And if you're away, that's even more interest, isn't it? You want to keep up to date with the progress of your team, don't you?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I know, as I speak to former players that I've played with over the years, they'll always let you know if you've done well, or more importantly, if you've done bad. So they do keep a close eye on at the times. They probably will only remember the names that they play with, but. No, especially the blokes that have gained life membership and have scored hundreds and fifers and done it for a lot of years at the club that have sort of retired and ventured down different avenues. They'll always keep a very close eye on club and how who's winning and who's losing and who's doing well and in squads and teams and stuff like that. So it's good.
All right, here at Number One Sports Ground, it's the Sea Dragons, none for 21 after 4 overs. There's a bowling change, and we have Harrison Colbert coming on. I'm not sure if you heard the news about Harry Colbert. He took a double hat-trick in second grade, I think it was.
Yes, it's funny you bring that up. I actually ran into Harrison Colbert the night that he got that. We were at a wedding, Sam Rigney's wedding, actually. And normally, as you greet friends, it's a, hey, how are you? But I said, hello Harrison, and he just said, I took a double hat-trick today, and that was the first thing that came out of his mouth. So, and it did make the paper, which we were told about last weekend.
Yes.
at his brother's wedding. He was quite happy to mention the fact that he got himself a double hat-trick. But I mean, Harry's a great bowler as well. He's just probably been hampered a little bit over the years with injuries, and he's probably got a bigger, I wouldn't say better, but I'd say bigger social calendar than what I've got.
Right, okay.
He misses a lot of games socially as well. So I think his wicket tally would have been a lot higher. We'll get a lot higher as long as he's playing. So it's good to see him out there today.
And of course, during these broadcasts, we can mention all these things about the players, can't we? All the things that you know, some of the people don't know about the players as well. So
yeah, no, that's right. No, Harry's a great guy. I've known him for a lot of years, and no, it was good to be. He was best man, obviously, at his brother Clayton's wedding, and I was next to him being groomsman. So we're great mates. So as much as I seem like I might be giving him a hard time, he'd be laughing right here next to me if he was sitting here.
He's a nice fella. He's always got a smile on his face, and he always says hello to me and greets me. So you know, I appreciate his company when I get a chance to. So I have never been out with him on a night out, so I can't really talk about that too much.
No, well, he'll be the last man standing next to you if you're still drinking, that's for sure.
That's a wide.
As he just slips one down the leg side. So Uni are going along okay here. Loss of no wickets for none for 24 or 4.3. Yeah, no, it's good to see Big Harry. Morey's decided to use him in the power play, the second last over. So you know, the pressure is applied a little bit on the bowlers in the first 6. So it's good to see him rolling the arm over. Looks like he's getting a little bit of swing just into the batsman from here, and he'll probably appreciate me saying this. He did get the big wicket of me this year when we played him out at Miller. Yeah.
Did he enjoy that?
Yeah, he's reminded me quite a fair few times about that as well.
Did he give you a nice send off as well? Or?
No, I think he was in shock.
I like that.
No. He took 4 that day, so he had a day out as well. So it was good.
I mean, the other thing I think a lot of our viewers have got to understand is that a lot of you guys play against each other, but you know, off the field, you got some great mateship there too, isn't there?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, you see a lot of players these days float between clubs, and Newcastle is as big as there as it is socially off the field, and you know, getting to know blokes on the field, it isn't that big. So everyone, you know, a couple of years in the competition, you know the ins and outs of everyone, and it's a great social sport. So it only takes 1 or 2 beers after the game to realise that, you know, the 90 to 99% of all the blokes that you have a beer with after the game are actually decent people. So
absolutely. Okay, 5 overs gone here, and we have the Sea Dragons at none for 25. Not a bad lineup for the Sea Dragons here this afternoon too, Marcus.
No, they look quite strong. You know, with the inclusions of a couple of key players from Sydney, they both look both sides look strong. But Uni have definitely, you'd say, gained a slight advantage. You would have thought with the two batters there in Scott and Nick. So they've still got Matty Gawthrop and James Rushford to come, and Liam McKetney's been scoring a lot of years over the years for the Sea Dragons. So he's informed me that he'll be a lower order pinch hitting role. So
okay, yeah. All right, change of bowler. We got, I think it's Josh Geary. Is that Josh?
Yeah, big Josh. On? Yeah. He's shares a house with Harry too in the back streets of Merriweather. So
little boy from Maitland too.
Yeah. No, I've had a couple of games with Josh over the years as well, and he's another good guy. Josh, he loves his cricket, works hard, and enjoys a beer as well. So
now, of course, we have the last over here of the power play. So there's, none for 26 for the Sea Dragons, off to a start of run rate of 5.2. So that's a fairly healthy start. If you're looking at that, as we said before, that 5-6 runs and over in the first 6 overs, you're doing pretty well.
Just seems as though that there's a little bit of variable bounce there. It looks like through Dan's second over, and now Josh Geary's bowling down that top end from us. It just looks as though the the ball's going up a little bit, then sliding lower. That one off Nathan, it looked like it just passed under the bat, so it just looks like there's a little bit of variable bounce in the wicket there.
A quick single. Oh, direct hit. A big appeal, but he looked pretty home even from here, Marcus. So he looked fairly safe, didn't he?
Yeah. Gauging from the fielders, he looked like he was home comfortably.
So when you're facing, like, from a personal point of view, you're facing the Dan Mortons, and you're facing other bowlers in other clubs as well, who are just sort of at you all the time. It makes it hard to sort of get them away, doesn't it? You got to try and come up with some ideas on how you're going to get them away.
Yeah, it's sort of a totally different game between 2-day cricket, 1-day cricket, and the 2020. It's in the 2-day stuff, it's watch the ball, and just play your areas early. Whereas, as much as you are watching ball in 2020 cricket, you're trying to also find the one. A lot of bowlers like the Dan Mortons that come from a tall height, it's hard to gauge their length really early. So, in starting those innings, or if you find it uncomfortable, you're always just trying to find that one and have a get out one shot, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. And I think the other thing too with bowling in this form of the game too, when you're a medium pace bowler or a fast bowler, you've got to have that variation too. You've got to have the slower ball and try and vary the pace of the ball around too as much as you can. Yeah,
definitely. It by taking I think that's a no ball there.
It's free hit.
It'll be a free hit for Scott Rodgie. Yeah, definitely by taking the pace off the ball. Generally means that you're going to have to generate more pace to through your bat swing to do that, and then more times or not you're through the ball that fraction early as well, which will create a chance. But I think where most players come unstuck is more that element of surprise. So it's not something you want to bowl. Well, I don't feel as though you should bowl at every ball, but just keep it in the back of your mind is it's always sort of that one that you can have up your sleeve, that they're sort of not expecting to take a wicket rather than a dot ball.
Yeah, and I think there's a pure art to it. It's all about practice and trying to get as many variations in your bowling as you can. I guess for a spinner it's probably the same. You've got to have a quicker one, one that sort of flights up a little bit. So it's not just the medium pace and the faster bowlers.
No, that's exactly right. As Scott Rodgie uses his feet there to gears with two over the top of cover. So the bowlers are definitely getting more crafty with the art of spin and the medium pace to pace. But it all comes down to practice, they'll be doing it in the nets week in, week out, and then trying to apply it in the game. So.
Well, that's the power play. 6 overs has gone, and the Sea Dragons are currently none for 31. And we're speaking earlier on the fact that they've got plenty of batters still in the shed, so they're off to a pretty good start that way. Now, what do they start doing now? Do they start sort of going okay? Current run rate's about 5. Maybe in the next few overs we'll try and lift it up to about 6, 7 if we can.
Yeah, well, I think although that's still none down, I'm sure Simon and the rest of the Merriweather the boys will be quite happy with 31 off the first 6 in the power play. So more often than not, in the way that 2020 runs, you sort of push the fielders back for the next 14 overs, and what I expect Uni to be doing with 10 in the shed is just trying to put a bit more pressure on the Merriweather fielders, sort of push it a bit harder for 2s, create energy at the crease by pushing it in the gaps. You got to be putting bat on ball and having a 1 minimum from here out. So it just looked like that one skidded just a little bit lower there on Nathan, and it should be a leg by there. It's just got a bit of bat on it.
Yeah, he must have, yeah.
Yeah, but it just looked like that one kept a little low, so that that variable bounce maybe is still probably playing, probably more so the top end, but Harrison managed to get a little bit down this end as well.
So as a batsman in that situation with a variable bounce, you're always thinking about that, though, aren't you? You're thinking, oh, is this one going to keep low, or is it a bit higher than the last one, or so all those things are sort of going through your mind, aren't they? At the same time?
Well, the two batters would be having those mid-wicket meetings between overs and just letting each other know that there's a couple of little tricks in the deck, and it'd just be a matter of bat on ball, rotate the strike, and we'll push the fielders if the ball's in the gap. So.
Going for a quick single there. And traditionally too, these two clubs have had a fair bit of rivalry in the T20s. I mean, I think a few years ago, I remember I was umpiring the T20 final between University and Merewether, and they've always had some pretty close games, haven't they?
It's not just in the 2020. I know throughout the two-day competition, they've had some pretty fierce battles on the field. They've both been, you know, the top 4, 5 for a lot of years.
Good shot.
Yeah,
that's all the way. Excellent shot. That's the first 6 of the match. The first maximum.
Yeah, well, it wasn't too far off Nathan's first 4. It was in a similar start or similar area in the first over, I think, or the second over off Big Mort's. Same area, just an extra 2 to the total. So
yeah, we're just talking about the rivalry. I suppose all the clubs have, you know, different rivals, haven't they? They've certainly done battles with over the years.
Yeah, definitely. And it sort of comes with. Well, I know ours has always been Charlestown. We always have a extra will to win. I mean, it's always there, but it always sort of and I think they're exactly the same with us. I know. They've got us. They've picked us a couple of times over the years, and it just seems as though that song's a little bit louder when you unfortunately have to listen to it. But no, Merewether and Hemwicks, they've been 2 for a lot of years as well. But yeah, I know definitely that there's a lot of clubs that have, and they also play for some shields. I know Waratah have the Gary Gilmore one now. So yeah, there's always something there when you're playing, but yeah, there's always the fierce ones that most clubs have with other teams around town.
Is it fair to say too, and that's the end of the over, so after 7 overs, the Sea Dragons none for 41 here at the number 1 sports ground. This is Pete Davis in commentary with Marcus Hainsworth from the Whips, and we thank you, Marcus, for coming along. I was going to say to you, a lot of clubs have bogey clubs too, don't they? Those clubs that really give them a hard, you know, just I suppose it's just one of those clubs that you think, oh, you know, here we go, this could be an interesting game. So yeah. Yeah,
definitely. And they always seem to pop up just before semi-final time too, as well. I know we've got 1 or 2. I don't want to say 3 or 4 because it sounds like we lose more than we should. But yes. Just when you think you're poised for semi-final cricket, you're right, you do have a bogey team, and they always seem to spoil the party. And I mean, that's spoke about as well. You know, these teams got us the last few years, and we really got to. And then you're sitting there after the second Saturday, same result with your head in your hands. So.
Tried a quick single there, but sent back. I think Merewether, they'll be looking to try and break this partnership now, because the longer it goes on, the more dangerous it can certainly get. Yeah,
that's right. Well, I mean, you only look back to the Thursday night that we played in the Whips against West, and I think it was only 130 maybe, or that we nearly defended.
I think it was 133 or something.
133. So I mean, if you only get up around that, just looking at the pitch from here, it probably isn't a bad total or a defendable total.
Yeah, and of course you look at the the Sea Dragons attack. You got Chris Connors there. You got Michael Ratnich. I mean, he's a fair sort of bowler, isn't he?
Ratnich? He took a few wickets the other week against Stockton, so he's definitely in forms. Big rads, and he nearly steered him home too on the weekend against Hemwicks. I think he got 50 odd at batting at 8, so his confidence must be high with both bat and ball. So
likes his cricket too. He's very passionate when he bowls.
He does. He does like his cricket. I've seen him get a little bit heated from time to time with various decisions probably not going his way, the more going his way. But I've got to know Michael too. He teaches with a good friend of mine down at the junction, and he runs a summer coaching clinic, the both of them. So I mean, when he's not obviously playing, he's still away doing his fair bit of coaching and training and stuff. So he does like the game, or love the game, as you say.
And these are again all the things that happen in the background that a lot of people don't see. You know, obviously, first grade cricketers, but they're also putting a bit back into the game as well with coaching and things like that. So it's a really good thing to know that they're out there, making a difference to younger cricketers as well.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And you'll find that the cricketers that have sort of been around for a number of years, it's more you see them doing a lot more coaching, and they're trying to put a lot more back into the game. I'm sure as they sort of reach the back end of their careers, you sort of start to look at going down different avenues and remembering when you started out and how it was, and that's what it's like for them. They're happy to give up their time, and there's not a lot of reward for people that play cricket in Newcastle. End of the day, you're playing because you absolutely love the sport, and you find that they're more than happy to give up more of their time to help the young kids coming through, which is good.
Okay, after 8 overs, it is the Sea Dragons none for 44. Yeah, these are the important things that I think with modern day cricketers these days is that they can obviously play their own cricket, but they can also give back to a lot of the youngsters coming through. And you would know, playing first grade cricket this year, you would have seen a lot of younger players being injected into first grade, particularly in the last couple of years. Yeah,
definitely. There are a lot of young kids coming through, and it's good to see. People venture off into their own these days, and they have kids and start families, and you're always going to see the new crop of kids coming through, and it's Newcastle, I should say, have set up some really good programs now for the 10s through to the 16s, and then you've got your Bradman Cups, and by 16, if you're making rep sides, you should ordinarily be just about playing first grade at your local team. So.
Okay, Sam Palmer's just come into the attack for Merriweather, the Lions. It's off the pad. Should be a leg by. So we've got 5.6 stage of the game. I mean, it's still okay.
Yeah, it's I think if the boys are sitting down there, the uni boys, they'd probably like to see 15 or 20 more runs on the board, but they might have had a chat early, and the key might be wickets in hand, and they'll make a late charge towards the back end, and it's really attack the last 5. So they've probably got a plan in place of how they want to play the game, and wickets in hand for them now is probably what they're looking at, which is going to be key for the last sort of 6 or 7 overs. So.
Yeah. And as you know, in T20 cricket, you change your order around. It depends on whereabouts you are at the game, that situation, isn't it? I mean, if you are coming down to your last 5 overs and you've got a couple of hitters, I mean, you're going to put them in, aren't you?
Yeah, that's exactly right. You can manoeuvre the order as you please, and where you go. I'm a little bit. I was just about to say this before the last ball, so I'll finish saying it. I was a bit surprised that they brought the long off up inside the circle. Nathan Hudson's hit 2 of his 4 boundaries now in this deep mid-off cow corner area. So I thought they might have kept him back before they moved him up to try and strangle the wicket here, or either move cow corner around that little bit more. But that one just squeezed past the keeper, and he's picked up his 4th or 5th boundary for the afternoon.
So with the rest of the batting lineup we've got here for the Sea Dragons, who do you think are the keys in this lineup here?
James Rushford's a pretty important wicket. Hits the ball hard. He plays a lot of shots. Can play 360 degrees of the wicket. He's got every shot in the book. I was a little bit surprised. I think if they didn't have Scotty Rodgie up, he probably would have opened the batting. I know he opens their 2-day cricket and 1-day cricket, so he'll probably be getting the itchy feet. He'll probably be next in, I'd imagine, and then Matty Gawthrop, he's come late from work, but he's there now, so he'll probably slip into 4. And they hit the ball in the middle from ball 1, so it won't be a matter of them looking to get their eye in at all.
That's caught behind. He's got a little edge on that one. And that's the end of Nathan Hudson. Pretty good innings though. He stuck around for 8.4 overs, so that's the first wicket for the Lions. It's 1 for 51, the Sea Dragons. And I guess at this stage of the innings, with a few batters in the shed, that's what you need to do.
Yeah, well, as we saw with that one, he was just trying to hit it on the roof of where we're sitting, and it was a good catch there by the keeper. I've got a couple of tweets come in. One off my fellow partner Ray Cooper in crime out at the Whips. He's just asked, "Who's this pelican commentating?" Ray, it's me, and I'll see you at training tomorrow.
He's probably talking about me, not you.
he might be. You've probably encountered some of Ray over the.
I have encountered Ray.
Over the
he's actually a nice bloke. I must say, all the years that I was umpiring cricket, Ray was always a nice fella, and he can bowl a bit too.
He's a good cricketer.
Yeah,
he's a really good cricketer, and he's a serious competitor as well. On the field, he doesn't leave much out there. So he probably won't mind me saying this. He's not a very good loser.
Isn't he?
No, he's known to throw the toys out of the pram at times. So. I mean, and I think that just shows, like, all of us care, but it just probably shows how much Ray does at the end of the world. At the end of the day, he's a good guy, and he's a good bloke to be playing cricket with as well. And I've got another one here. You know him as well, Jeff Kinninan. He's just sent me 3 emojis, and they were just microphones. So,
were they?
Yeah, he might have had a big weekend, and he can't talk yet.
Well, maybe he should have a crack at this one of these days. What do you think? You're Jeff Kinninan to be okay commentating, wouldn't he?
Yeah, Jeff. He did all right this year too in the Rep Carnival. He's probably not having the season that he's had in past years out at the Seagulls, but he's got a lot. He's finished his trade, and he's done further honours in the building game. But he's a super cricketer too, Jeff. He's scored some runs over us, and I've seen him score some runs around town, and he's just as good as cricketer as anyone on his day, Jeff, that's for sure. So
I think there's a few cricketers around that owe you a beer, I think, after all this talking these boys up. So
that's why I'm here. I'm just earning up the beer tokens. That's
the
sure.
motive, eh? We've finally found out the motive while you're here. Another single to the Sea Dragons at the end of the Palmer over. So after 9 overs, the Sea Dragons are currently 1 for 53. Okay, yes. Right, we're just getting a few in. Can you guys say thanks to Instant Access for the... Yes, we can. Infrastructure, and for helping us bring the coverage of the game here today. We certainly can. Thank you very much. And we'll certainly do that for you. Thank you very much for that. Instant Access, of course, there they are over there. This nice scissor lift there. Do an excellent job for us, and we do appreciate them, providing us with the use of that for this Bar TV coverage, and right throughout this bash as well. It's been fantastic.
We're probably lucky we're here today. I don't know whether that scissor lift would have gone up that high yesterday. It would have been.
No, it would have been interesting standing up there yesterday. Very interesting indeed. So. It's nice to see the wind is not as bad as it was yesterday. I was watching the coverage yesterday, and I was thinking, wow, it's absolutely blowing a gale. So, all right, moving on. This is young Callum Gabriel coming from Northern End. This is the youngster from Maitland.
Yeah, I was going to say a young Maitland boy. Looks like a Merriweather player, but is he an import for Merriweather?
Yeah, well, he's playing a lot of cricket with North's Cricket Club.
Yep.
And Merriweather invited him to come and play a bit of under-21s and a bit of Dennis Broad Cup. So he's been doing that, and congratulations on making first grade. I mean, that's fantastic.
Yeah, well, it all starts from here, really, doesn't it? He gets a taste, and he takes a few wickets and a few runs, and he can certainly propel his cricket through the Merriweather side and a first grade side from here. Full toss, was that a full toss?
Yeah, it was full toss. Yeah.
Nearly brought the square leg into play.
So when you're batting and you see a full toss, what's your reaction? I suppose you're not really expecting them all the time, but you do get them occasionally, don't you?
Yeah, well, it's probably the format that you do get a bit of a full toss. The bowler's obviously trying to hit a Yorker length, more so, and in doing so, if it just slips out the top of the hand just a little bit before release, it creates that full toss, and you sort of initially your eyes light up, and you'd be well, you'd know how many wickets it takes over the years, the long hop off a leggy, or you try and hit it too hard now the park. So initially you're surprised, and then you'd rather get one on 60 rather than 15 or at the start of your innings. So you do light up, and then try and obviously get it out of the park.
Absolutely, yeah. That was a little bit of an under edge there, and that was good running actually. That we've got 3 there. So
yeah, well, that's James Rushford at the crease now. So as I said, he's hits the ball hard, hits the ball from the middle of the bat from ball 1. So if there is an indication of a bit of variable bounce, it'll definitely come from James. That's for sure.
Good thing about this too is it's a good initiation for younger players who can come and play, first grade T20 and play against the calibre of the James Rushfords and other players in this competition as well. So it gives them really good experience and I guess I suppose it exposes them to really competitive players and it's just a really good learning curve. Yeah,
well, I think now with the 2-day, we used to get 2 points for a win. In the 2020, which was always taken quite serious because it meant it could be the difference between you playing semi-final and final cricket in the 2-day format. Whereas now I think that thanks to Newcastle City Council, they've created a bit of a cash pool for first and second. So the interest of winning / interest of players being available is still there, because it can generate quite a bit of money for the club, but then it also exposes younger players and import players such as Callum to come to Newcastle and want to play, and he knows that he's going to play with experienced and decent players that are going to be around him, because that cash kitty is there.
Yeah, sure. So after 10 overs, the Sea Dragons 1 for 60, going at 6 per over, which is, again, as we keep saying, is a good run rate for this stage of the game. So looking at where they're at this stage, halfway, 60 on the board, they'd have to be trying to get that 140, 150. They'd have to be at least targeting that, wouldn't they?
Yeah, well, you'd sort of think and reassess now halfway through that you'd want a minimum 7 and over, which would put them at 130. So anything 130 upwards, I mean, it's you only know a deck until 2 teams have batted on it. So with some players in Merriweather, and then Uni take a couple of wickets, it could be an interesting game later on this afternoon. But yeah, you'd think with 9 wickets in the sheds and only 10 overs left, that they'd be looking to push right on and get it up around the mid 140s to 150.
And as a keeper, of course, in this form of the game, in the T20s, do you change any of your philosophies when you're keeping out there or not?
Not a lot of philosophies. The only thing, the 2 things I try and be wary of, one is you don't get too many deliveries to you. So it's more important / you're there to concentrate as much as you can. 2, you leave the energy in the field. You try and, there's time restrictions and you've got to get the boys around, and as a keeper that I've been doing for a lot of years, I try and set the example. I've probably got the least to run. I've only got to run 2, so you're barking at a few of the bigger boys to get round and get in their positions for time, which helps the captain. And then if anything, I try and get up to the stumps to stop the batter moving up and down the crease. And try and restrict him, which means I'll then keep in a helmet. I'll keep in a helmet to the quicker bowlers, and by doing that, the bowler, I feel, can hit his lengths, and the batter can't really disturb his lengths by putting doubt in his mind whether he can charge him or not.
Okay, good shot there from Rushford. That was down the leg side, and I mean, he hasn't got a lot of protection down in that area, so that's where you don't want to be bowling right now on the leg side. Yeah,
I think with the field set, he wants to be bowling full outside off stump, a bit like that. That was probably more middle to leg. But I mean, even a boundary off the middle of the over there, it sort of relieves a bit of the pressure leading into the next over as well. So, I mean, they'll be looking to score a boundary, 1 every over, 1 every 2 overs, and then a run a ball for the rest. So. I can sort of see Matty Gawthrop with the pads on there and Chris Connors. So
It's a single there. So that's the 11th over here at Number One Sports Ground. This is the Newcastle City Summer Bash, and we've certainly graced with some fantastic weather here. The sun is out, not as windy as it was yesterday, and of course we would like to thank Newcastle City Council for getting behind the Summer Bash this year. Also Instant Access, we mentioned them earlier on. We do appreciate them also with their great support of the Summer Bash this season, and I think that, you know, without the help of these companies and things, you know, it does make it very hard to broadcast and to have events like this. So we do appreciate their support.
Also interesting to see that Morey seems to have given every bowler 2 overs. He's bowling all these frontliners in 2 over blocks. So Paddy got 2, Dan 2, Sammy 2, and Harrison 2, and now Callum's into his second straight. So it's sort of maybe a ploy as well. Over the years gone by, they sort of rushed through with an over a bowler and over a bowler, but at the moment he just seems as though he's doing 2 over blocks for each of them. And that was a great shot from Rushy there over Paddy's head at cover there for 4.
And as you said, I mean, he obviously is, you know, he's come out with intent, and he seems like a player of, you know, see ball, hit ball, isn't it? That's kind of the way he plays.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like he's changed in his game. It's how he plays a lot of 2-day cricket as well. I mean, it can be scary at times. He can be raising the bat quite often before the first drinks break, which I've seen as well. So he's a good cricketer and loves his cricket. He had by his reports, he had a really good season in England in the off season. So yeah, he's come back and he's having another good season here in Newcastle for the Sea Dragons.
Young Gabriel moves in.
Just seems a little bit slower, that one. He just sort of rolled his fingers on it, I think, and it just stuck in the wicket a little bit. Good running, really.
Yeah, that was really good running, wasn't it? 2 very, very quick runs there, and that puts a lot of pressure on the fielders.
Yeah.
You know, you got to look at that and go, okay, let's take the fieldsman on, and that's exactly what they did there. Someone's trading bars with you there, Marcus, just off the microphone there. Is that Brad Bannister?
No,
Yes.
I wouldn't give him the street credit of naming him on such a program.
Is he still playing? He is. Yeah.
No, he's happily retired from what I believe.
He's playing a bit of Dennis Broad, actually. Yeah, he's playing a bit of Dennis Broad, captain of the Dennis Broad team. That's a great shot.
Scotty Rodgie.
That's gone all the way. That's a maximum.
Second 6 of the afternoon. So Rushy with a 4 last over, another one this over, and then a 6 to end the over. The last 2 overs for the Sea Drags have been won by them, I'd say.
Yeah, pretty fruitful. So after 12 overs, it's 1 for 85 for the Sea Dragons, and run rate of 7.1 at this stage of the game. So we're coming down to that sort of last 5 to 8 overs. What's your thoughts when it comes down to the remaining, say, 5 overs? Do you again plan something and say, rightio, if we can try and get off the last 5 overs, say 7, 8 and over, you know, 30, 40, gets us sort of a good competitive total?
Yeah, well, I think with the first 6, Uni we're probably going to be looking to get 40 or 50. So if you pin that back in terms of fielding restrictions now with a few more out, if they take another 40, I think that they would have quite happily taken that halfway through. So as I said, not a galloping start in the first 6, but to lose no wickets. I mean, you would say, well, if we reassess and, you know, take 40 or 50 towards the back 5, we've definitely got a total on the board there for Merriweather to chase.
There's Paddy Darwin back into the attack for the Lions. I'll get 2 there fairly easily. Will they go back for the 3rd? They're thinking about it. It's a good throw.
Yeah, no, back to Brad. I had the pleasure of playing with Brad for a couple of years at the start of my career. He was a cemented Newcastle cricketer by then, and was well, I don't know the word. He was good enough to then make the New South Wales country team. So he played a few years for them. So he was a tremendous cricketer.
And of course, when you see him, you talk to him, he's always happy to tell you that too, isn't he?
Yeah, well, in saying that I know Brady, he does know the family as well. He did uni with one of my sisters. They both did a teaching degree together. Another serious competitor. He had white line fever, which was good to play with. You know, you saw how much it meant to the guys that do have that, and they're totally different people when they walk through on the other side of the gate. But no, he's a very nice guy, nice family, Louise and Harry, who I got to know for a lot of years in my time out at Belmont. While he was there, he's now gone on and coached various clubs. He coached Merewether for a lot of years there,
yes.
More recently, but he's a really nice guy, and yeah, he had a lot to do with me as a coach growing up as well through the Hunter Academy. So
Yeah, and he's also done a bit of coaching with the girls too. He's done a bit of coaching with women's cricket too. So I mean, pretty versatile on what he can do and what he has to offer. So, and as you say, I mean, he had a very successful period with the Lions. Was it 5 years in a row? And he'd been coached for 6 or 7 years or whatever, and really it was only his job that's taken him away from it, unfortunately. So and that happens, doesn't it? I mean, your circumstances change and everything changes, so you've got to make a decision either way.
Yeah, that's right. He does give a lot of time to the game, but I know he loves spending the time just as much with Louise and Harry as well. So sneaky one there for
good single.
Yeah, James Rushford there. Yeah, no, it'll be an interesting 7.1 overs to come. I've only used the 5 bowlers, has he? So I think I think they'll all end up bowling their four out, with Gears and Harrison and Mort still up the sleeve. And
do you think you'll keep the same rotation though, or do you think you might just change it around a little bit? Hard to say.
Hard to say.
Yeah.
He's definitely started off like that.
Yeah.
With, but he'll have to change it. You sort of the way it'll work, I think, with the overs, the way they're going to run, that he'll have to change it somewhere. But
okay, that's the end of the 13th over, and it's the Sea Dragons just lost the 1 wicket for 95, so that gives them a real platform now, doesn't it, for the next 7 overs to say, rightio, we've still got plenty of batsmen in the shed here, so we can afford to take a few more risks now. So. So it looks like Dan Morton's coming on.
yeah, big Morts. So the rotation system that he's been using is still going ahead. So
I think the interesting thing will be to who he chooses to bowl, say, the last couple of overs in this inning. So will he go back to the youngster at the end? I probably don't think he would go back to Callum. Maybe, I think, because of the fact that he's inexperienced. So he might just change that around in the next few overs.
yeah, you sort of look to the experienced guys to bring it home. So maybe save Paddy for one, as well as Morts towards the end, and then bring back Harrison, Callum, and Semi Palmer through the middle of the back end, I suppose. So he'll try and squeeze Morts for one, and then bring him home towards the 19th, 20th over, I think.
So Dan Morton comes in. We'll get 2. So getting back just quickly to the whips, got a few younger players I noticed in first grade this year, been there for a couple of years, and a few sort of sprinkling in other grades as well.
Yeah, no, we've sort of got a good mixture out there at the moment. One of the senior statesmen at 31, and Mark Littlewood's been around there for a lot of years. He's a tremendous, phenomenal cricketer, and Jace Lawson's taken off the retirement shoes this year. So we've got the two really experienced campaigners in Jace and Mark, and the young guys coming through in Toby Gray and Luke Muddle have had some really standout starts to the year. I mean, we're halfway through now, but Toby's been given the opening batting duties, which he's going really well in. Good young kid, good family. His dad Paul's a really nice guy.
Yep.
And Josh Muddle, he's sort of bowling all-rounder who's scored us some very valuable runs.
Luke Muddle, yep.
Has scored some very valuable runs for us late in the order, and we've got also a young leg spinner from England, Jan Gray.
Yeah, we saw him.
Yeah.
We saw him last week. Yes.
Yeah, he bowled the last over, didn't
yes,
he? Yeah,
he did.
yeah.
Yes.
And he's another young good kid. So the mix is there, and Daniel Bailey, he took out the bowling award in Newcastle last year, and he's sort of getting towards the back end of his 20s, and with Ray, they're both sort of maturing into the complete cricketers, where their maturity on the field is definitely paying dividends for our cricket. So, and it always helps when you get those guys in, and it sort of can strengthen up the grades a little bit.
Yep.
Across the board. And they've always had a strong populated junior base too out at Belmont. They've always had good numbers through the the 10s, 11s, 12s, and so on. So that's not a bad shot there from Rushy there, just behind, splitting the gap at
2. You'll probably go for 3. Then it'd be 3 in that.
Just behind Point and Gully. Scotty Rodgie runs back to the danger end for 3. So.
And of course, the Sea Dragons have reached the 100 mark. They're now 1 for 103 with 1 delivery left in this over.
Yeah, so they've sort of really accelerated, in some forms. Scotty Rodgie's probably got a bit used to the pace of the wicket, and reined in his bigger shots and sort of looking for those little, sort of an under edge, but he'll sort of try to work the ball more than take it out of the ground. So he's probably picked up the pace of the wicket. I mean, he's 14 overs in, so he's moving along nicely. They've sort of picked up that boundary, 1 boundary and over, 2 boundaries for the over for the last 4 or 5.
So after 14 overs here at Number 1 Sports Ground in Newcastle, it's the Newcastle City Council Summer Bash. And the Sea Dragons are now 1 for 107. Run rate at the moment is 7.6. And we do thank Newcastle City Council for their wonderful support for the Summer Bash this season. Also instant access. We thank them for their tremendous support too for Bar TV. It's a great concept, this one, and it gives a lot of people who can't come to games an opportunity to tune in at home or wherever they may be. You can tune in on your phone. There's just so many ways you can do it these days, isn't there?
Well, as I mentioned last week, I was tuning in at the Crown Plaza at the Hunter Valley there. So, and Harrison was next to me. We were both watching intently. So, just seemed as though it's just keeping that little
it does, doesn't it?
Bit low, doesn't it? It's sort of bounced through the keeper, and he sort of looked like he was trying to pull that away to deep square leg, and it hopped. And number 1's always been a ground that I've found carries really well. It either end or the square, if you can visualise it, it all slopes down, so it generally carries a lot of the time. So this would be a situation where, as a batter, you'd either try and use your feet to break up Harrison's length, or if the keeper came up there to the stumps, it would sort of keep him in the crease and then potentially take the ball and not bounce towards him for the bye.
Small crowd just coming in at the sports ground here this afternoon just to see a bit of cricket. It's just wonderful. You can finish work and you can just drop on down and have a look at some of the games. And big shout there. That looked like it was going down leg side.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny? I can umpire it from up here.
Yeah, well, it looked like it should have been heading down leg side as the indication of the shot made him look like he was trying to sweep. But
there's
he did,
the replay.
Yeah,
there.
he just took a little step across, which suggested that it probably wasn't as close to leg side as what the shot made it out to look to be. But I think he got it right.
I think in those instances too, you look at how much the batter actually comes across their crease too. That's a big hit. That's all the way. It's a nice shot. That was well hit from Rushford, wasn't it? He really did time that one.
Yeah, he just sort of took a little step towards the bowler there in Harrison, and just gave it a full face of the bat and swung through nicely. Yeah, couple of steps towards him just to break up his length and create something out of a length ball, and it cleared the fence. It did go all the way.
It tries the. You tried that shot before when you were batting?
No, not off a medium pacer, and I probably wouldn't be trying to play it if I just hit that ball conventionally out of the ground for 6. I think I might have even been going the same way, or trying to work one down the ground. But I mean, at the moment, Uni, they're 1 for 115 with 5 overs to go. I don't think a reverse sweep is going to do them any harm. If it gets any sort of bat on it, it's probably going to go. So you'd take it. If it works it there to deep mid wicket running hard.
They go for 2 here. Well, they decide not to. The thing with that is it's about the pace of the ball, just the with the bat, just working it off the wicket, and as you say, if you get something on it, it just goes anywhere. And you can score a few cheap runs with a shot like that. But of course you can obviously get yourself out as well. So, but as you say, just being 1 down. You can afford to take those risks. At 15 overs, it's the Sea Dragons 1 for 116. Okay, we're down to the last 5 overs. 7.7 is the rate, and I was saying earlier on that if they really want to try and progress from on here and gain momentum, they'd have to be looking at least in actual fact, the score's gone up to 1 for 120 after 15. So it's 8 and over now. So they're well on target for that at least that 150, 160 now, aren't they?
Well, I mean, with the 9 wickets in hand, with 5 overs, 10 and over, 170, that'd be a very good score to get tonight. I mean, conditions are ideal. There's not a cloud in the sky down here, and as you said, the crowd's starting to linger in, and you'll probably find a couple of people get down here after they finish work and stick their head in and find out the score. And it'll be a good chase regardless of what Uni end up with. There's always the element of scoreboard pressure and the other external factors. So I think we'll be set for a very good night of cricket.
A few of the Uni boys there on screen, a few of the Sea Dragons. Josh Geary comes in. Sort of short down the leg side, and that was dealt with.
As the old saying goes, I think that one got what it deserved.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it wasn't Josh's best ball, that one.
Nah.
He'd be disappointed.
It was short enough and wide enough, and it was just sort of helped on its way towards the end. And Rushy's probably felt he missed out on an extra 2.
I think at this stage of the game too, as a bowler, particularly medium pace bowlers, that you got to try and get the Yorkers out. You got to try and get the variations, the slower ball if you can. So. Must be a hard game to captain this one, is it? Have you ever captained a T20 before?
Captaining at any game's hard.
Just hard?
I felt, I did one, and we didn't have a great day. It was when Mark, our captain, Littlewood, was away with the Newcastle team. We didn't have the best day, and it was against Charlestown, and by the end of the day, I couldn't find a big enough hole to jump in. It was one of those days, and I sort of thought to myself that Mark can have that any day of the week. So I'm quite happy to give him all the advice that he needs, but the tempo of the game, you sort of got to be, you can only be 1 ball ahead, but you got to be thinking, Morey would already have his overs figured out. The mind's going from ball 1, and because it's such a high tempo game, it sort of runs in all aspects, from fielding to batting to bowling, and then even captaining. You got to be well on your game. And as a good captain, it's probably, if you have a good day out, just being captain alone with fielding, positions and bowling orders, there's probably 20 runs you can save as a captain.
Yeah, well, it's got to be tough, and I know as an ex-umpire, I know that T20 for me, I think it was the hardest form of the game to umpire, because there was always something going on, always something happening. That's hit away. It's going to fall short.
Looked like a bit of a slower ball there from Josh.
Yes.
Yeah, it just looked like he rolled the fingers in it and tried to throw it into the wicket. And nearly carried out to the man at deep square leg there, one bounce. Sammy Palmer, I think, is out there on the patrolling that boundary. One of the quicker men. Had a lot of years of footy for Hamilton Hawks as well, Sammy. I played against him a couple of times. Does the fielding again on this occasion, all the way along the carpet.
That's the end of the over. So after 16, the Sea Dragons are 1-4, 1-8. So what do you think? 4 overs? Who's in next? Who's in next for the Sea Dragons, in your opinion?
I still think Matty Gawthrop will go. As I said, he's a clean striker of the ball. He's an experienced cricketer, and I think he'll be looking for the role of rotate strike to the bloke that's been out there. So, being Scotty gets out, he'll try and work the ball for Rushy, and then vice versa. If Rushy gets out, he'll be nudging the ones and the twos to get the play that's been out there the most time, the strike, and then do his thing. So he's a good player at any stage and in all forms, Matty Gawthrop. He was in and around the mix too. He was in the rep squad this year, and I think work commitments and a few other things just sort of kept him in and around the mix, and he sort of had to give it away, which was unfortunate, but he's a good cricketer, Matty.
Okay, Sam Palmer back on. I think you're right with Pat Darwin. I think they're going to leave him till possibly the last over. Well, not the last, but certainly the 19th.
Yeah, the 19th, and maybe Big Morts to bring it home up the top end. Because what I think we've got another one out of Harrison, another one out of Sam, Callum. So what's that? Yeah, they'll all get another roll before the 20's out.
Just chips that. Certainly one there. I think with the Lions now, they've just got to try and minimise as many runs as they can, try and cut as many runs down as they can. They're looking at the score 130 at this stage. They're thinking to themselves, well, it could be a 150, 160 game here, so we're going to try and minimise as many runs as we can in these next few overs. Down the leg side. Going for a quick 2. Simon Moore. Generally don't run on Simon Moore's arm. He's pretty quick.
And a good arm. He gets the ball in there. Whether they're home safely or they're coming back for 2, he's always one to whiz it in. But I mean, Merriweather would have taken the start. What was it, none for 31 off the first 6?
They would have taken that for sure. Yep.
So they would have been quite happy with that. So Uni have done tremendously well. Maybe the ball's just softened up a little bit for them, and as we see James Rushford attempt the reverse sweep with more success for the second time with the boundary. So they've sort of seemed from that 13 to 12 over mark to be hitting at least one boundary and over, if not 2, which definitely has put them in a good position here.
Yeah, because that was probably one of their tactics going into the game. It was sort of like, we'll work on that.
Yeah, well, we're looking at the score now. They've probably scored 100 in the last 10 overs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for 10 and over between the field being pushed back out, they've done extremely well.
Just a field change.
That's a great shot.
Great shot, yep. That's going to go all the way for 4.
He's just giving himself enough room there too. A little bit of the extra width. He's just gone a little bit wider, and he's taken a couple of paces down to create a different length, a fuller length. And it might be under the advice of Simon, but if I was the young keeper there, I'd be, well, he is now. He's going up to the stumps just to stop him creating that length and that width. You know, just to keep Sammy. Sammy can now bowl a nice full straight one for a single down the ground if he gets his length right.
Going for a quick 2 here. They'll get 2 there. And as a keeper yourself in this T20 stuff, do you sometimes just make decisions yourself and go, oh look, I'll go up and stand up this time, this ball, or
it's a feel. It's definitely for player, or the two players that are in there now are sort of giving themselves room. I've sort of got to a stage of my cricketing career where I'll say, you're not good enough to be doing that, mate. I'm going to pull you back a couple of reins here, and I don't have a problem, and I do it. If I go up for that last ball, I'll sing out for the helmet, sort of stop the game, make sure I'm feeling as comfortable as I can be while keeping. I don't hold a grudge to anyone that gets an extra form of protection to help them feel comfortable behind the stumps, to give your own team an advantage. So
great shot.
It's pierced the two blokes down there.
That was a good shot.
Yeah,
He hit that very well, didn't he? Good timing.
And again, the boundary at the start of the over, it just throws a bit of pressure now on Josh Geary. I mean, this is all wickets in hand sort of stuff. It probably would have hit a full stump down that end, and he's dissected the two blokes down there deep on the boundary, and it's a 4 off the first ball. So the pressure then comes back to the bowler for the remainder of the over. Just
swing there.
Yeah.
This could be all close.
Just rolled the fingers on that one too. Just not making it quite through to the keeper there. He sort of rolled it.
Was it by?
Young.
Pat Houlihan.
Yeah, young Pat Houlihan. So even if Pat felt like he needed to stop the game for 2 minutes to grab a lid or a helmet to get up behind the stumps and sort of not have to field the ball on the bounce with a bit of variation, and then also, as I said last over, create the same length and gears can hit a sort of a place there more times than not.
Yeah. Do you know much about Pat Houlihan? You heard much about him? He's only a younger player coming through.
Only a younger player. Yeah, I haven't had anything really to do with Pat. I've heard good things through Harrison and a couple of the other Merriweather boys. They said he's a good young kid, and he's like anyone. He loves his cricket as well, as they've mentioned that he's super keen on cricket, and that's what it's all about. He plays in these sorts of games and gets a bit more exposure. You're only going to improve, and that's probably something that he's working on at training now at Merriweather, just to get a little bit of confidence to go up to the stumps in these later overs, because it's a hard thing. You get an edge on one, or one gets fired down the leg side, you sort of end up losing 3 or 4 runs in or in buys. So
it's a good shot. So Roger's had he's played a pretty good innings here. He's just been chipping away at it, hasn't he, and hitting the odd boundary. So I mean that's it's been a pretty good innings.
Well, as I mentioned before, we're the same age, me and Scott. We grew up as it used to be. It's the concepts now changed through the metropolitan New South Wales, which, being from Newcastle, we were always Metropolitan North, which coincided with Manly, Gordon and Hornsby and Northern District. So, and then us being Newcastle with it, and we always used to do the road trips, me and a couple other young cricketers, Matthew Frith, Luke Penfold, Brett Jackson. We were all in the same boat down to those camps with those guys, and Scotty Rodgie was a Hornsby boy. He played all his junior cricket out there, and then had a lot of grade years at North Sydney, and then moved on to Mossman now, where Matty Day, he captains their side. Very nice place to play cricket, Mossman.
Yes. I imagine it would be.
Real estate's quite expensive through the area as well, so they do have the financial backing that some clubs in Sydney don't have. But he's a really nice guy, Scotty. He's to be playing cricket from 10s now to 31, you've been around for 20 odd years, so it's good to see. I still pick up the paper every now and then, and I flick through their scores down in Sydney, and it's always nice to see the blokes that you grew up playing cricket with that are now still biding their time, or not biding their time so much. It's more enjoyment than any other gain that we're going to get. So
there's a bit of hesitation. And of course the Sea Dragons, after 18 overs, 1 for 152. So the Lions, they've just captured the 1 wicket here at the number 1 sports ground, the Newcastle City Summer Bash. And thanks to Newcastle City Council for their support, instant access. We do appreciate their wonderful support this Summer Bash as well, with the wonderful scissor lift they got there, and really does help with our telecast here at Bar TV. I think we were right here. I think we've got Paddy Darwin on, and I'd say that Daniel Morton will end the other end. I'd say the 20th over. It's a good shot.
It's a great shot.
Yep, that's all the way as well.
That's a great shot. He sort of just seemed as though he just took the pace off the ball a little bit of that, and he waited on it perfectly and took full toll through point.
So building nicely here for the Sea Dragons. 1 for 157. It's chipped away.
Might have felt as though he missed out on a couple there. It was a little bit shorter than him. He was backing across quite quickly, and by his reaction, it felt as though he
just mistimed that. I think. Yeah,
he should have got a few more. So.
Yep. Good shot. That's going to go all the way, is it? Yes, indeed. It's another maximum.
Well, the pressure right on Paddy. 2 4s and the single. That's 9 off the second last over, is it? And they've moved on to 164 now.
Yeah.
So they've set themselves up perfectly here for a very late assault.
Just a quick single.
I mean, Scotty and Pat would know each other quite well too. They would have. We're on Pat's age. We sort of were in the same systems through the early part of our careers before he saw the light and moved up to Newcastle from Bankstown. So they'd know each other. I'm sure they would have had a friendly handshake before the start of play and then gone about their business. It'd be interesting to see who thinks they've won the battle out there. I think if Scott Rodgie, well, he's going to see this over out. He's at the non-strikers end, but he'll probably say he has by Paddy not being able to get him out. So
yeah, that looks like another 4.
This has been a very, what was that, 17?
Yeah, that was a very good over.
18 off the over.
So after the 19th over here at the number 1 sports ground, it is the Sea Dragons 1 for 169 over the Lions. So just the 1 over left to go, and as we predicted, Marcus, it's going to be Dan Morton to bowl the final over in the Sea Dragons innings.
Yeah, he's just got an extra yard of pace from most blokes around town, Mort. So I think Maury will just call on his experience in the last over, try and hit a fuller length and sort of just get him down to their long off boundaries for a 1 or a 2 and sort of try and close out the innings for the Sea Dragons. They've batted superbly.
They have, yes.
It's been a massive turnaround. It just felt as though it was a bit too paced and they weren't feeling the ball coming on, and none for 31 off 6 is by anyone's standard, especially none down. You would always like probably 10 or 15 more. So to come back, they've batted superbly.
He's given that something. Just for a single. So 170 on the board now for the Sea Dragons. Bit of field change here. I think sometimes in T20 cricket you just feel as though you need more fielders, don't you?
Especially at number 1 sports ground. It's the biggest ground in town, or it's certainly.
And that's got him. So that was a good ball. And that's the end of Rushford. That was a good innings though from James Rushford. He'd be very happy with his contribution there this afternoon. So the second wicket is down now for the Sea Dragons. 19.2 overs have gone, and that is 2 for 170. Here's the replay. He knocks the off stump out of the ground. Here we go. He pitched that one up, and
Little inside edge.
Yep, just a little edge, and that's a little inside edge, and that was the difference there.
Looks like Nick Bills.
Yep, so Nick Bills coming in.
Coming in the bat. He's made the journey up the freeway.
Yes, so he's decided I want to have a hit while I'm here.
Well, it might have been to give him a hit or not ruin Matty's average. So
something like
Matty
that, yes.
Gawthrop's average, he's thrown him under the bus towards the end. But yeah, as I was saying, you sometimes you don't when a team's going like you only have for the last 14 overs, you sort of feel as though you can pull an extra field or two and put them anywhere. But yeah, number one, it generally feels as though, you know, I've batted here before and the gaps seem a little bit bigger, the boundaries seem a little bit longer, but it's a great place to play cricket. It truly is an awesome place to play. He's straight into his work there.
That looks going to be out, is it? Yep, it's a first baller.
First baller.
So that's his contribution with the bat.
And although it's the last over, the big Morts is probably more importantly thinking about the hat trick.
I think he is, yes. He tried to keep the average intact, but he's coming out now. We're talking about Matt Gawthrop on his way out to face up to the last three balls. There's the replay. On the boundary, and nice catch.
Young Callum.
Yep.
Took the safe hands in the deep. It's a key position out there too, deep.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
You sometimes got plenty of time to think about it, haven't you?
Yeah.
Morton comes back in. Derogi, they'll take a quick single. Pat down. Throw. So he's going to get a hit.
He'll get a ball.
You get a ball.
One not out.
One not out. Yeah. You'd be happy with that, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It'll keep the average there nice and healthy, I'd say.
No, he's a competitor, Matty. I don't think he'd be thinking about his average. It'd be all for the Sea Dragons, for the captain.
Oh, he's missed that one, so they'll go for a bye. And that's that ends the. Is that the final ball? Or we got one left. Looks as though we've got one left. So this is the final ball. 3 for 172, the Sea Dragons. A run rate of 9.1. Very healthy run rate.
You would have taken that at the
absolutely.
Toss, 172 with one to go. He's carried his bat too, Scotty.
Yep, done well. Yeah. Yep, absolutely. So that's it, the end of the 20th over, and that's the Sea Dragons, their innings. And after 20 here at number one Sports Ground, the Sea Dragons 3 for 173. So it looks as though Merriweather, they're in for a healthy run chase here, and they're going to have to get off to a pretty good flying start as well, and make sure that they, I guess the power play for them is going to be extremely important to see how they build momentum over their innings as well.
Yeah, no, as I said, the uni boys would have definitely taken 173. Scotty Rogie batted superbly, carried his bat right the way through, and I think, you know, Merriweather won't be ones to panic with a similar start as they get to uni. They've got some experienced players there, and they'll be more than confident. I think the run chase will be on Morey and Paddy, and they'll have to bat for the majority, and then the blokes like the Gears and Benny Egan, you know, if they get the side off to a good start, they'll be able to bat around the blokes through the middle and down the order.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to take a break here at number one Sports Ground this afternoon, and Merriweather, the Lions, they'll be coming into bats, and they're chasing 174 for victory. And we look forward to your company for the second part of this T20 game here at number one Sports Ground. All thanks to Newcastle City Council and Instant Access. We'll be back very, very shortly.
Flat.
Yeah.
Okay, welcome back to Number One Sports Ground here in Newcastle for the Newcastle City Council Summer Bash. And thanks to Newcastle City Council for their ongoing support for this wonderful concept. And it's nice to be here. Pete Davis on the microphone here this afternoon, and my special guest co-commentator is Marcus Hainsworth. Marcus, interesting run chase here for the Lions, and before we get onto the game, we have a bit of what we'll call it Marcus's mail. You got a bit of mail for us?
Got a bit of halftime interval mail off a few of the Sea Dragons. They said it's very two-pace back of a length, so that sure would have filtered back through to the Sea Dragons bowlers, and I think they'll be looking to hit that back of a length, change of pace, and sort of let the pitch do the rest. So,
okay, the target for the Lions is 173. Opening the batting for the Lions is Simon Moore and also Josh Geary, and opening the attack for the Sea Dragons to bowl the first over is Nick Bills. As we said, Nick is one of the marquee players in the Sea Dragons side today from the Sydney Cricket Club. And I just wanted to ask you, Marcus, about the marquee concept. Do you think it's a really good idea to have a couple of players in your team that are marquee players from other teams, in your opinion, or do you feel as though you'd rather just sort of stick with players from around this area?
Yeah, I've always found it a bit of a tricky one. I think from a players, and I've heard this from a few different people, that they sort of thought the marquee concept was unfair in previous years as it counted to competition points. In saying that, you could get, over the 4 games, you got 2 highly quality cricketers to come win you 8 points or 10 points or however many games it was, which resulted over the 5 games as an outright result, which made the difference from making semis for a team that didn't attract the marquees. Now, in saying that, everyone's in the same boat.
Yes.
Everyone's available to get marquee players. It's up to the club then to go and get the marquees. I personally wasn't a fan. I wasn't a big fan of having the advantage of, as some clubs have probably got access to different players and better players. Feeling as though that then some clubs turned around and they were quite happy that all the systems that they had in place, they had a good enough side or a decent enough side to win them games of cricket, which is fair enough. I think as it is not now up for the competition points, that I'm probably a bit more relaxed in terms of the marquee players. I think 2 is the right number. I think 3 would be too many, and then 1, as we just saw, if you only lose 1 wicket, then there's no point dragging a bloke up the freeway to only play 5 minutes worth of cricket. So
yeah, no, interesting, and it's interesting to get obviously feedback from the players on how they feel about the marquee players. So the concept at the moment, of course, is 2 for each team if they decide to go and get marquee players. Of course, the first ball of the over there, it was missed by everybody. It was a bye, so the Lions none for 1 at this stage. On strike at the moment, we have Josh Geary. Okay, Crystal ball stuff, Marcus. 6 overs. Where do the Lions need to be? I mean, I think Uni, the Sea Dragons were about 30, weren't they?
Yeah,
about 5,
none
5 and over.
None for 31. I think the crystal ball being that Uni ended up with 173 or 170 odd. Merriweather would look to only be 1 down at the most, and at least early 40s. I think if you can sort of chase down anything after that, 130, really set yourself up in the first 6. I know mentality of Morey will be if you hit the ball, if you see the ball, hit the ball approach. So I think they'll be trying to maximise the first 6. It just sort of seemed as though it might have been a bit hard with the ball, as hard as it was at the start of the innings, where it's probably sort of softened up a little bit, which sort of helped Uni and got the pace to the wicket. So, you know, it's not going to be an innings or a batsman's innings where you're going to score early on. I think you've got to take your time and really bide your time and then set it up for yourself as your innings goes on.
And so I think as the Sea Dragons showed in the first innings there, if you can get one of your players to sort of bat through most of the overs, it sort of sets a platform for everybody else, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's also interesting to see in the first over, you're allowed 3 out, whereas Uni have just opted with the deep gully, or deep third man, I should say, and deep backward square.
2 there to Moore.
But no, there's a lot of experience at the crease with Simon and Josh, so they'll be looking to press on early, I'd imagine, for the first 6.
And of course, you were talking about earlier on in the first innings there about prized wickets, and I would imagine that someone like Simon Moore is a prized wicket for any team.
Well, it's funny you bring that up. I've actually dismissed Simon.
You knocked him over, have you?
I mean, he was on about 180, I think, at the time, but no, he's just accidentally chipped one to cover. But he is a big wicket. He's been absolutely phenomenal for a number of years in Newcastle for Merriweather and New South Wales countries. I've seen him score back-to-back hundreds for Newcastle at a country carnival we played up in Ballina years ago. And then I heard only the other day, and a lot of people around New South Wales country cricket would probably already know he's the most capped New South Wales country cricketer. So there's a lot of experience.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
That comes with Simon, and even this year he's had a stellar start, or stellar halfway point to the year this year, and it sort of sees why Merriweather's on top. You know, then they've been on top for a lot of years thanks to him. So he's I know that they'll be celebrating hard if they do get the prize scalp of Simon, that's for sure.
Okay, after 1 over here at the number 1 sports ground, it is the Lions, none for 5, chasing a target of 173. Now on to bowl now is Jackson Thompson. Jackson Thompson, you know anything about Jackson Thompson?
No, I don't. And I don't even know. I don't think he played when we played him in the earlier rounds this year. So I think he'd be a lower grader.
Yes.
That's definitely come up through the uni system, and unfortunately he's just started with a wide. But yeah, I think he'll be pressing off that top end and trying to impress the captain to get a few more games.
Because as we know, over the years, teams seem to evolve, and you look at the Sea Dragons team this year compared to say 4 or 5 years ago, and they certainly they've lost a few, very important players in the team, haven't they? I mean, obviously one of those was Luke Bird. I mean, he was a big part in the success of the Sea Dragons, wasn't he?
Yeah, Birdie's been a good cricketer, a great cricketer for Newcastle cricket. He was in and around the rep stuff there for a while as well, and it always seems with uni that when sort of one drops out, another one just comes in.
Yeah,
they've sort of they recruit well. They've always recruited well. They had Colby Gallagher from Charlestown. He's playing there this year, and Nathan Hudson made the switch from Toronto. So, and they're both very good cricketers. and they've been doing a good job for them this year, and they always seem to stack up well. You know, they've always had that recruitment. They've always attracted players for a number of years, and I think although they miss Birdie, they sort of pick it up in another form of another player.
And the thing about them too is, with the Sea Dragons, just quickly on them, they don't have a junior base to call on, do they? So that must be pretty difficult for them as well.
Yeah, well, I've always known, like, it's always been a thing for them as well in the rugby side of things. It was always good when you came across them in the uni holidays, because they would lose half the club, and they'd go home away from the Newcastle campus. But they've always recruited well from Maitland. A lot of Maitland cricketers have sort of Hamwicks or Hamilton Wickham were always a base for the junior. That's a good bit of keeping there from Nathan Hudson.
Yeah, it was a good stop, wasn't it? Yeah.
But yeah, they don't have that general base that a lot of clubs in town have. But they've always seemed to be in and around the mix. So they socialise very well. The uni boys, they're always keen for a beer, and they enjoy each other's company, which is what cricket's all about, really. So.
Okay, single there to Josh Geary. And as you said, I mean, there is a lot of experience in this Lions team. We've got two very experienced players out in the centre at the moment, and they'll be looking at trying to build something here for the first 6 overs of the power play, and then they can sort of build on that from there with the other batters coming in. So just there from Moore, you missed that one.
Yeah, it's a watchful start, you'd say. They haven't come out.
Well, they would have seen the wicket too.
That's exactly right.
They would have seen the two pace of the wicket too, and trying to just take it ball by ball and just feel their way through the first few overs. It's a 4.
It's a 4 to Simon. He's just sort of questioned the square leg umpire.
Yeah, so I was just about to say it might have been it was above the waist, so that will be a no ball.
That was years of experience, I think. I don't think he would have got away with it. And someone like Simon that's been around for many years just queried. I wouldn't say he asked in a manner that wasn't respectful enough, but he just queried and won him over in the end.
Yeah.
So could be an expensive end of the end of the second here.
He's missed that one.
Yeah.
One thing I did want to mention is the umpires. We've got John Canning on the southern end of the ground, and Graham Bruce is currently at the bowler's end at the moment. So you would have come across Graham a few times, I would imagine.
I have. I've come across Graham. He's likes to chat.
He does.
He's always played or umpired the game in good spirits when we've had. He sort of
nice shot.
He sort of knows the difference between banter and sledging, and I'm sure I haven't crossed the line. I've never been warned or anything by him, or neither have the boys. But he umpires, and you can tell that he really enjoys the game.
And that's what you have to do, and not just as players, but I guess as umpires, you really got to enjoy it and enjoy your experience. So the Lions, after the second over, they're none for 19. The current run rate is 9.5, so that's a healthy start for the Lions, and that's the sort of start they needed to get off to as well, with a target of 173 here at the number 1 sports ground. It's the Newcastle City Summer Bash. It's a real festival of cricket here, and thanks to the wonderful team Instant Access, who have provided us with some wonderful things to help out Bar TV with the scissor lift there and help out the production. So we do appreciate their wonderful support during the Summer Bash this season as well.
Bills
is back on. Yep.
Start his second. I also believe that Nick Bills played for Newcastle City a few seasons ago, so he's tested the waters in Newcastle before and liked it, so he's come back up for the Sea Dragons. So I think you'll probably get although there are a lot of marquees, you'll get a lot back too, because I think the next one's a double header.
Yes.
I think we get two on the same day, which isn't until February. It's a Sunday, but yeah, you probably get a few more marquees that blokes will get 2 games out of that are more willing to play.
Do you like the new concept? Do you like the concept that you were
Yeah.
just talking about? You think it's a good thing?
Yeah, I think it is. And the reason I say that is that it's sort of tried, in my personal opinion, to stop as much Sunday cricket. I know for a lot of years, the 3 o'clock, you'd break it up over 5 weekends or 4 or however many we played, and it always seemed as though you're playing every Sunday, and it was quite an awkward time. The 3 o'clock, you'd sort of have brekkie and then get going ready to go, and you sort of lost your night and evening because you're still playing. So it's sort of, without sounding, I don't know, detrimental to the game, like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You sort of get more out of your Sunday, and then you free up another whole Sunday the following week. So I really like it. This is great for Newcastle cricket and Newcastle Council getting behind it, and then you get your 2 games on your one day, and you can sort of hang around and have a beer and whatever after you're done.
So Bills moves in. Will be another single. No, they thought about the second, but I don't think there was 2 there. Yeah, and I think Marcus too. In this day and age, we're all busy doing a lot of stuff in work and life in general and family, and you're trying to fit all this in. And I guess that you just got to find that good balance there. And I think with this concept that they may have struck a real good chord here. Yeah. Yeah,
that's right. You don't get much reward from cricket these days, especially in Newcastle. It's all personal choice to play. Not many people, or if any people, get paid in Newcastle, and you do make sacrifices. You do miss out on a lot of social events. You miss out on family events to play the game, and without obviously trying to play for a contract or the financial rewards that cricket give you. At some stage, if you're playing in Sydney, it does take up a lot of time with training and playing and all those sorts of things. So I like the concept that it does free up a bit more free time with your weekends. So.
Okay, final ball of this over. This has been a good over, actually. There's no run there. So the end of the 3rd over here at Number One Sports Ground. It's the Lions none for 22, so the run rate has come down just a touch. The run rate is 7.3, required is 8.9. Yeah, I think you're right when it comes to that balance I was talking about before, and particularly for yourself. I mean, you're just about to make the plunge and get married soon. Your life will change even more. So, and you've also, I think, with cricketers these days too, they've always got to think of the other half and their partners and their families and things like that. So, and as you move on in your life and you have children, your focus may move away to other things as well. So. There's a lot of things in there, isn't there, for a cricketer these days? Yeah,
there is. You just got to make happy compromises, I suppose, where both parties are quite happy. It does, I wouldn't say it takes its toll, but it definitely does. It does affect some parts of that, with more so with social things, and then Courtney, who's my partner, I know she doesn't particularly enjoy too many social events that we go to, and I'm away every Saturday playing cricket, and then I have to make up a few lies about how many runs I've got to justify why I've been there. But no, she's good, and it helps having her support. And I think a lot of cricketers that do kiss their kids and wives goodbye at the start of a Saturday, the wife or the partner's very understanding that they're going out to do something that they love, although as much as they do love their family at home, so it's good. And we're not going to play forever either. We're only here having a run until the body gives way most of the time, or some of the time, and you just got to enjoy it while you still can.
Yeah, certainly can. Yeah, that's what you need to do. Now we've got Scott Rodgie. He's on at the bowler's end at the moment, and goes to show he's a very versatile cricketer. He can bat and he can certainly bowl. So
it could have been an interesting conversation when he got here, and he might have offered his services that he's bowled a few overs down in the big smoke, and Matty Gawthrop's probably taken it hook, line and sinker and said you can have the fourth over if you'd like, mate.
See how you go.
See how you go. He just hits a nice line and length, Scotty. He's just bowls little wobblies, just does a little bit back of a length. Very easy to set a field too. So still only got the 2 out. I'm pretty sure it's only 2 in.
Yeah.
3. You can have 3 in the first 6, is it?
Well, as far as I know, yes.
Yeah.
So as you say, just bowling a pretty good line here, just at the batsman and trying to make the batsman make up their mind where they want to put it.
A couple of people have strolled in after work, haven't they?
Yeah, no, it's good to see. Just people come and watch a bit of cricket, and it not necessarily be people who support the teams. They just like cricket, watch cricket, and they come down just for an afternoon. So, and the weather's been absolutely fantastic this afternoon. The sun's still shining. The breeze is around, but it's not that strong. So it's worked out to be very, very good as far as the weather. Yesterday, I think, was a bit different.
Yeah.
Would have been fairly cool sitting here yesterday, I would say. It moves in again.
It's not a bad over, this one from Scotty Rodgie. He's kept it to 2 or 3.
It's just the dots, isn't it? With with the shorter form of the game, if you can build the dots up, puts the pressure on the batsman, then they start trying to figure out where the next run's going to be scored, and that's when you can sort of make errors when you're batting, isn't it?
Definitely.
Yep.
Momentum. The shorter the form, the easier the momentum can change, and sometimes in this game, it can only take one ball, whether it's a wicket to bring a new batsman out, or depending on what stage of the game that it's in, it definitely can change momentum within 1 to 2 to 3 balls. So it
looks like we've got a bit of spin coming on here.
Yeah, this will be Colby.
Colby Gallagher.
Yeah, Colby's mentioned him before, making the move from Charlestown last year. He just come with a new attitude. I had a chat to him earlier on in the year when the season started, and he just said he just needed a change, just a bit of a freshen up. It wasn't anything to do with anyone at Charlestown in particular. He just felt a bit rusty in himself, and he just thought a change of clubs, that change of scene would do his cricket well. And I mean, he was bowling plenty of overs and opened the batting up there, so it wasn't a giving him a go sort of scenario. So he was well established there. He just wanted to move on.
Yep. Now that's gone pretty close to the boundary. Just stopped. It was good fielding. And 3 to Simon Moore. Moves the score on to none for 26 after 4.1 overs. Just a field change happening here. Well, I think it's like anything with cricket, isn't it? You've got to be happy where you're playing, and if it means that you've got to change and do things a little bit differently, maybe that's the best thing for yourself. And I think sometimes you've got to really look after yourself and look after your best interests in a lot of ways as well, haven't you?
Yeah, that's exactly right. You'd rather see him sort of push on, and although it probably upset a few people at Charlestown, it meant him still playing the game. That's the result at the end of the day, rather than wander off into the wilderness and miss out on being a big part. He was definitely in the squad and in the mix in around the Newcastle rep scene, so he's well established. He's got a lot of runs and a lot of wickets on the board, so he's a good cricketer.
It's a nice shot. Just get the one there. So I think we said the Sea Dragons were around that 30 mark after the 6 overs. So the Lions are creeping up to that 30 mark now, none for 28 after 4.3.
Still a great start by the Merriweather boys, but as you can see there, the required run rate has just crept into the 9s.
Yes.
So although they're moving along quite nicely, it's still putting scoreboard pressure from the 8s into the 9s, only in the 4th, 5th over. So
You just need that one good over in this game, don't you? You know, if you can get a 15 or even a 20, it makes a difference, doesn't it?
yeah, it can really swing in the batting team's favour, and it doesn't take much to get a few away or a few out of the middle, and away you go.
It's a full toss, hit back to the bowler. We've got one left in this over, and we'll have the final over of the power play. Moore's hit that one pretty well.
Great
mid-wicket.
Great way to finish the over.
Yeah, good. That's right. Boundary to finish the over there. So after 5 overs, the Lions currently none for 33. And the one thing we have noticed, you know, for both innings, both sides, after 5 overs, still, you know, they still have all the batters in the shed there. So haven't lost early wickets, which has certainly helped them.
Yeah, well, they would have had a decent talk about how they wanted to go about their innings, and I'm sure one of them, like we said, if they were 1 or none down in the first 6, then they're definitely still well and truly in the game.
Well, I think you said at the start of the innings that if you had a crystal ball after 6 overs, you'd be looking at least 40, somewhere around that mark, if you could get there and then sort of build the momentum from there.
Yeah, definitely. They're going the right way about it, and I think we said just before the interval that one of these 2 or even 3, which is probably Pat Darwin, he's got the pads on down there, they're going to have to bat the majority of the innings.
It was a quick single. Throw there would have been interesting if that was a direct hit.
Who have you got your money on?
Oh, gee, I think it's going to be tight. It's going to be a real tight. Right, you know, I think the finish is going to be. There was a game last week where it went down to the last ball. That was the whips.
Yeah,
that was the whips.
yeah.
Yeah, that was the whips game. So this could be headed that way.
Happy to give Scotty Roger a second over here as well.
Yeah, he's giving him a second go. So
he bowled well on his last one, and being the last over of the power play, you'd be sure that he'd try and repeat the same dosage.
We're going to go for just the one here. I don't think there'll be another one there. So what's your gut feeling here? How do you feel this is going to go?
I've always been a runs on the board man, so at this stage, I still think Uni will.
Yeah, the Sea Dragons.
Dragons will get the cash.
Fully.
Looked like a bit of a slow ball out of the hand. He just tried to roll his wrist on it, trying to throw it in the wicket, get a little bit out of it.
I thought the 2 there, but certainly no second run there. Yeah, just that variation. I think that was just that slower ball. Just probably came out of the hand wrong way, and in a way, he kind of got away with that one. And that's out. That's caught behind. So Simon Moore's gone for the Lions.
Big wicket.
And Roger's got the wicket. So after 5.4 overs, there's the replay. He advances down the wicket. Trying to force the issue, and he's got an outside edge.
Paddy Darwin.
Caught behind. Paddy Darwin coming in, another experienced campaigner, as you said. He's certainly been around cricket for a long time, and he's achieved a lot in the game, hasn't he?
Yeah. Not only in Sydney, he's done a lot in Newcastle while he's been here. He scored 100 in the final a couple of years ago, which Merriweather got over the line in. But yeah, he's been around for a lot of years. Paddy, he's played at Bankstown, Manly. Back to Bankstown, and then moved up to Newcastle. He's played with Merriweather ever since he arrived. So he's a very experienced cricketer, been around, as we said, for many years, and I don't know how many he's got left in him, to be honest. He's got a good job. He's they're expecting their third child on the way to his partner Sam. But yeah, he's got, as we were saying, with commitments and stuff like that, he's not a bad start through covers.
Yeah, nice shot, wasn't it?
For two. Yeah, they sort of all take their toll towards the back end.
He just comes across as one of those players that just naturally gifted. Probably, he works hard at his game, but he's just one of those guys that trains. But there's other players that just got to train that little bit harder, and I just see him as one of those players, and I've always had that feeling that he's just got that natural ability, and he also. Yes, he's got the talent, but he also, as I said before, has worked very hard at trying to, have success with his game as well. So, and he's a sort of player that a lot of younger players would certainly look up to and say, I'd like to be someone like that. I'd like to play like that.
He's a good thinker of the game too. He always captained a lot of the junior sides that he was in out at Bankstown. He's always had a great knowledge of the game. It sort of drifted as priorities change in the latter years, but growing up he was always the first picked in a lot of the rep sides that he played in, and even in Newcastle now. I know Coach Shane Burley and the selectors are always finding out his availability. They always want him in there. He's a bit of a match winner at times as well. He'll come in and get you 50 or 100 in pretty quick succession, or take that one-hander at cover, or the wicket that the senior or the more experienced bowlers are searching for. He's got a bit of a knack, or a golden arm, as they say. He's a very experienced, talented cricketer. Probably, if you ask him now, he probably didn't get to the honours that he was probably earmarked for, but I think he's quite content. He's got a steady job, and as I said, he's got the third one on the way, and cricket has given him a lot over the years. So he's had a great career.
And as we know, there's always life after cricket. Your life does continue after your playing days, and if you go into the coaching ranks or whatever, you get back to cricket. But rightio, here at Number One Sports Ground, the Newcastle City Summer Bash. And it's 1 for 39 for the Lions after 6, so they've just about reached that 40 we were possibly predicting at the start of the innings, but they've lost the important wicket of Simon Moore along the way. Target is 173. Run rate is at the moment 6.5, and the required rate is 9.6. So they'll be looking at trying to build that run rate up as much as they can in the next few overs.
Colby's got his second over in a row, and as the field spreads back for the latter part of the game, and I think much like the Sea Dragons innings, they'll look to hit the gaps and press for twos.
Yes,
and really pressure the blokes riding the boundary. But in saying that, I think James Rushford's probably taken over the captaincy duties. We've got Matty Gawthrop in front of us riding the boundary, so as captain, I don't think you're going to have much input from
down there.
Yeah,
no.
from long on. So I think he's just let Rushy run the show with the C next to his name, and I'm sure Matty will be back with the C next to his name on Saturday in the next round 2 game. Well,
I suppose as a captain, you don't mind having just a break, just have a bit of a mental break, and let somebody else take over and give them the experience as well, just in case you may have to miss a game or whatever. So you've always got that backup there.
Yeah, he's been captain there for a few years now, so he probably enjoys the break. He'll probably feel like a freshen up as much, and get back to sort of enjoying cricket.
Oh, he's got him. So Pat Darwin's bowled.
Looked like he just tried to give himself a little bit of room.
We'll just watch the replay here.
Play through the offside, and looks like middle might be bent back there.
Here's the replay. Yes, he just gave himself a little bit of room there, and he's just missed that one. Wasn't a bad ball, actually.
No, just sort of hit that nagging line of length, and it probably just did enough, and it's managed to take middle. I think that's John O'Dunn. Yeah,
John O'Dunn's just coming to the wicket for the Lions, and they've lost their second wicket there. Pat Darwin is out After 6.4 overs, the Lions are 2 for 41.
He's a Vanuatu international.
Yes, he is. Yes,
John O'Dunn.
He's an international player.
He's. I think they're still trying to. From what Jono's explained to me, they play a lot of the B pool games or lower order round games against the Pacific nations, which try and qualify for the World Cup. So as years gone by, when you see Amphibians and teams like that, that's who Vanuatu play in the lead up games, and he's not too far away, he reckons, from a World Cup start. So
yeah, that's excellent, isn't it? That'll be a great experience.
But no, I think his mum and dad have still got a house over in Vanuatu, and they were hit a couple of years ago with that hurricane that went through there. And
yeah, it was terrible, wasn't it?
Yeah, I played a bit of footy with Jono as years gone by. Very talented footballer as well. He's a good all-round sportsman.
He faces his first ball, and they'll get a single there. Yeah, I mean, at the moment, of course, as you would know, Marcus, we have the Under-19 World Cup in New Zealand at the moment. Have you seen any of that on Fox Sports?
I haven't seen much, to be honest with you. I've been keeping up to date a little bit with the Cricket Australia app.
Yes.
New Zealand scored some runs today against Kenya.
I saw that.
Against
Yes.
Kenya, I think they ended up with 480, and the two openers got hundreds. And then a lot have been match abandoned. I've seen that at I think Rain's caught up with a few of the games over there.
That's the New Zealand weather for you.
That's exactly right. And then the Aussie boys got touched up by India, I think. In
the first game.
The first game, yeah. So, I mean, I keep an eye on most cricket forms, through county cricket through our off season, and see how they're going away, and then the lead up to all our domestic stuff, and then the Aussie boys over in New Zealand for the Australia stuff. So.
Well, it's funny you mentioned, and it's 2 for 43, the Lions after 7 overs. It's funny you mentioned Kenya, because my son actually played against Kenya a couple of weeks ago for the Sydney Thunder Indigenous team.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he had a game against the Kenyans, and what a wonderful experience that was.
How'd he go?
He got a couple of wickets.
Yeah.
And he was about 10 not out at the end of the day, and they had a win. So he was very happy about that.
That's a good all round day.
It's in the air. I was talking to one of the touring managers of the Kenyan team, and we're having a bit of a chat to him about the Kenyans, and I said to him, just out of interest, what pool are you in? And he said, we're in the hardest pool. So they got the raw end of the straw there as far as pools were concerned. I think they're in the pool with the West Indies. Oh, that should be a no ball. It was high above the waist. Is that going to be called?
It's a no ball. It should be a no ball. It was definitely higher than the waist.
Yeah.
Didn't even need the square leg for reference there.
No. He's called that from the bowler's end. And
coming back for two means that Josh Geary is still on strike, which you can't move the field.
No, you can't. No, that's right. Exactly right.
No, well, I'm sure the Kenyan boys will be having one hell of a time over in...
Beautiful people,
yeah.
Wonderful young cricketers, great experience for them. They had an opportunity to go to Dubai to play a couple of warm-up games there, and they chose to come here to Australia.
So is that the 19 side or the
under-19 side,
the
current side that's playing.
Yeah.
Who've got a bit of a touch-up, as you said today.
Yeah, I didn't see the end result. I just saw, I think they were off for rain the last time I checked, the Kenyan side, but it's sum total 480. I think it went 100, and the number 3 ended up with 90.
Yeah,
91 maybe. Yeah.
I was very impressed though. I must say, just getting back to the Kenyan game, I was very impressed with their fielding, and they had an opening bowler who was very impressive as well. I thought their fielding was outstanding for a team that I'd never seen before. Their batting, of course, needs improvement, but just to make the World Cup, I think it's the 4th time in history they've made the Under-19 World Cup. So there you go.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. So it's a great achievement for them.
We've just got a bit of a delay. A soccer ball's being kicked onto the field. Merriweather 2 for 48 off 7.4. John O'Dunn on strike here.
And as you said there, the required rate's still up around 9.5. So I'll be looking at trying to get some boundaries.
I think that's, is that Radnage or Scotty Rodgie?
No, Rodgie's still on.
Rodgie.
Yes, this is his third over.
Third.
Yes, we haven't seen Michael Radnage just yet. I'm sure he'll be coming on very shortly. That's in the air. That could be out. It's straight up in the air, and that is out. So Josh Geary departs the scene here at the number 1 sports ground. It's now the Lions 3 for 49 after 7.5 overs. So that's a big wicket for the Sea Dragons.
That is a big wicket for
Here's the replay
of Josh Geary. It was probably a tad lucky the ball before that he faced. He sort of just scooped it over the mid-wicket man, and they got through for 2. So a little bit less bat, and as a result, just skied it straight up, and a easy caught and bowled for Scotty Rodgie.
Yeah, and we were talking earlier too, weren't we, about the wicket being a bit too paced as well. I mean, those are the sort of things that have a bearing on some dismissals as well. So, okay, looks like coming into bat now we have
Benny Egan.
Yes, Benny Egan's coming in.
Yeah, he's having a good year too for Merriweather. He's got his he opened the batting a few weeks ago, and him and Morey chased down Charlestown's total, and he ended up with 100. 100 not out too, I think. 130, 140 not out maybe. But yeah, this is probably the key partnership now for the...
Yeah, they need to get something together here, don't they? Just a partnership, few overs, try and get a few boundaries.
It's well worked down to third man for 1 for Jono.
It's the end of the 8th over. So the Lions 4 for 50. Target is 173.
I think it might be 3.
Yeah, it's 3 for 50.
3
yeah,
for 50.
It's 3 for 50. Losses of Simon Moore, Josh Geary, and Pat Doan. So after 8 overs, the Lions 3 for 50. Yeah, we have the run rate at 6.3 currently. Required rate is now up to 10.3. So it's starting to get a little bit out of hand, isn't it?
Yeah, it's creeping up. It's sort of crept up right from the first over.
That's chipped. Oh,
just dropped.
That was a good effort, wasn't it?
Yeah, great effort.
Thought he had it there for a second.
Yeah, I think it popped out with his elbow.
Yep.
Elbow hitting the ground. It sort of just dislodged the ball. I mean, that's a crucial wicket there. Great effort. But it's a bit of a juggle mid-air.
That's got him. So another wicket for the Sea Dragons. It's now the Lions 4 for 50 after 8.1 overs. And John O'Dunn departs. So another important wicket, and this now starts to really put pressure on the remaining Lions batsmen here, coming in at 4 for 50. And coming into bat right now is young Zach McGuigan for the Lions. Pretty sure that's Zach. He's not on our sheet here, so I'm just going on. Yep, that's definitely him. We're missing a couple on our sheet from the Lions. Another young player coming through the ranks of Newcastle cricket. He played a few years of second grade, and he's now got himself into first grade this season on a more regular basis. So just one of those, again, as we were talking before, just a sprinkling of those younger faces coming into first grade cricket in Newcastle.
Yeah, well, as we've mentioned, Merriweather, they've always had a good nucleus with Troy Goodwin and Tim O'Neill, sort of front and centre, and they're sort of automatic picks every week. So it's good to see that there's a few fresh faces coming through the ranks.
Yeah, quick single there, and that was very close. Good piece of fielding there too. And here's the replay on Bar TV. Nudges the ball away, and it was a good call. He basically called pretty quickly there, and he was off. So any hesitation, there'd been all sorts of trouble there.
Singleton boy too.
Yes,
Benny Egan.
yes, Benny Egan. Yep.
Down for this. I think he still works for Glencore, as far as I know, but I think they're set up in and around town. So
He moves in. It's a good ball. Probably get 2 there, possibly 3. They'll be looking for 3. That's 4. So it's gone all the way. 4 runs to Ben Egan.
he's bowled well, hasn't he?
He has, yeah.
He's got the two of the bigger wickets for Merriweather in Paddy and Jono. And just before Jono got out, he also had him dropped. So he's and although that went for 4, it was a thick outside edge from Benny.
Try and catch it there, that one.
Might just be a little bit of turn out there.
Yeah. He might be just getting just a touch of turn. Helping him out. Slightly down the leg side. Single there. So that's a good over. Very good over for the Sea Dragons. After 9 overs, it is the Lions now. I think is it 4? Yep. 4 for 55. Now I suppose it comes down to a bit of scoreboard pressure, doesn't it, for the batting team? And I guess the problem with losing the wickets too is you can't get that partnership going. You have a new batsman coming in, and you got to sort of rebuild from there. So these two have really got to. They've got to bat as far through the innings now as they can, and try and keep that momentum going, keep the scoreboard ticking over. You got 10.5 and over, so those are all those things are going through your mind as a batsman, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They're sort of. I'm sure Benny's giving him plenty of words of wisdom and advice, and he's got to sort of do the bulk of the scoring and let the young guy sort of lend him the strike, just bat to ball, push hard on ones, take 2s, and Benny's sort of got to be the boundary hitter, especially here at number 1. It's as we mentioned, it's a big ground, and it feels just as big when you're out there. So
Roger on again. Looks like he's going to bowl through.
Yeah, he must have had a good word to the skip, but I mean he's taken a couple of wickets, got Simon and Josh Geary as well, so there's probably every reason to bowl him out. Bowl him out, he's 4, and then he can sort of put the feet back and try and hide down at final leg somewhere for the rest of the night.
Under edge there.
3rd dot in a row, is it?
Yep, 3rd dot. There's a good bit of keeping as well. Yes, so Michael Ratnich, what's the chances of him maybe coming from that end?
Well, I'm sure he'd be screaming out for a bowl.
Yep.
He likes ball in hand. It's not often that he doesn't normally open for uni. So I think, I'd be surprised if he doesn't get a bowl at all. But he's probably take the next one on the way Colby's bowling. You'll probably see him bowl out as well.
So you haven't heard any issues with fitness for
Radnich?
No,
not for Radnich. He warmed up. He threw a couple down in warm-ups at the change of innings, just to get the blood going and the muscles moving. So
that's in the air. This will be another wicket, and yes, caught. So that's the end of young Zach McGuigan. He departs. So Merriweather now, the Lions losing wickets on a regular basis, and in T20 cricket, you've got to get the partnerships rolling, and unfortunately at the moment it's just not working for them. Here's the replay here.
Just probably looked a little bit too full to play a pull shot, which just resulted on him just being rushed maybe just a fraction, and the 3 earlier dot balls sometimes causes a shot like that out of you, just to try and force the ball into the middle of the bat, which in this case resulted in the wicket.
Yeah, and it comes down to the scoreboard pressure, doesn't it? Now it comes down to batsmen coming in 5 for 57, 9.5 required rate, 10.5 run rate at the moment is 6.3. The batsmen coming in now are thinking about that. They're thinking about, okay, we need to get some runs somewhere. We need to score some boundaries. So it's a huge task, isn't it?
Yeah,
this form of the game.
It is. And I think as we've seen at the start of Uni's innings, it's not easy to score when you've come out, and as a few of the Sea Dragons said at the halftime break, it's a bit too paced, and they were going to look to hit a back of a line length to try and get those variations or natural variations out of the wicket more so than the slower balls and the variations. And in saying that, we've got Colby Gallagher, I think, coming on for another over.
Yes. So after 10 overs here at the number 1 sports ground, it's the Lions 5 for 58. We do thank Newcastle City Council and, of course, instant access. This is a wonderful concept for Newcastle cricket, midweek cricket, an opportunity for people to come out after work and obviously have a look at some of the premier players in the Newcastle competition. And another game on tomorrow too. Should be pretty exciting.
Yeah. That'll be the last of the...
Yep, that's the last one.
The last of the twilight Newcastle 2020s.
I think it's the Cookers tomorrow.
They've got a couple of imports too.
Yes, they have, yes.
Yeah, from Manly. They've formed a little allegiance with the Manly boys. I had 2 years with Manly many years ago. I had 2 years with the Manly boys back at 19 and 20.
Yes.
They were very, very good days. Played a lot of cricket. They trained very hard. I think all the clubs in Sydney train extremely hard. But yeah, they found a little partnership with their guys.
That's another wicket down. And that looks like young Gabriel, Callum Gabriel. He's out. So the wickets are falling here, unfortunately for Lions supporters. Yeah, there's the replay there, and he was caught behind. That's some good bowling, though. We're getting some good bowling from certainly the southern end of the ground here from Gallagher. And coming into bat now is Pat Houlihan, the keeper for the Lions.
Yeah, as I was saying, they've formed a good partnership with Toronto, and I think Adam Crosswaite's coming up. I don't know if it's for this game, but he'll definitely be there for the double header. And we've sort of, like, through a past player, Bo McClintock, we're sort of trying to form a friendship or partnership with, well, he's playing for Sydney, which is the old Balmain, so we had him come up and play for us last Thursday, and he brought another guy with him as well, from the Sydney club as well.
Okay,
so.
yeah.
And they won it. They won the...
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they won the 2020 Sydney comp, which was played at the SCG under lights not too long ago, and it was a bit of a... They sort of brought in whoever they could. I think Sam Billings and Jordan Silk played for Penrith.
Yes.
Being Jordan Silk being a Penrith junior.
Yeah.
So he wasn't a... But it was still, he was in town for the Sixers. He was he was in town, being contracted for the Sixers, so they had quite a formidable side. Maybe even Jason Roy, maybe. I watched a bit actually on Bar TV.
Did you?
Yeah. They put up a link, so that's how I know I wasn't at the game. I was sitting on the couch at home and watching it from the comfort. I think I might have had the Big Bash on in the background, and so
you had multi-screens going that day.
Multi, a bit of a tragic, if you haven't picked up on that. But yeah, the Sydney boys defended 120 or 130, a bit of scoreboard pressure as we spoke about. They did well, and I'm sure they partied just as hard.
And as predicted, Michael Radnich is coming on into the attack for the Sea Dragons.
Yeah, well, I think in the stage of the game, he'll probably bowl the next 4 from the top end.
You sure you didn't get the captain's script off the Sea Dragons
No.
for the game?
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
The shout there. Well, it's a bit of a mountain to climb here for the Lions. The run rate is going up every over. It's now run rate required of 12.2 per over. So it's getting to that point where you've got to start taking a few risks. And unfortunately for the Lions, they're just losing too many wickets.
Yeah, it gets a bit.
That's a nice shot,
That's
isn't
a
it?
great shot.
That should go all the way.
It
That's
does.
a beautiful shot. That's a maximum.
That's over the fence. That's as good a strike as we've seen all day.
Yeah, that's probably one of the shots of the day.
Yeah, I think Scotty Rodgie managed to clear the fence a couple of times, and that was no different. That's a great shot. Yeah, when it starts, it's just dropped under the required 12 and over as it was last ball. But I think whenever I watch on telly with the amount of overs left, when it gets to plus 12 as a required run rate being 2 a ball, it's always tough work.
It's always hard, yeah, definitely. That's a good shot. That's a great cat. Oh, might be interested in that replay there.
Yeah.
That was very interesting.
The uni boys started celebrating.
Yeah. I thought he had him.
Yeah, they were cheering. So
We'll just have a look at the replay. There's the shot. Yeah. Hard to tell with that replay. Young Jackson Thompson. One hit down the ground for just 1. Thinking of 2. I'll just settle for the 1, the single.
he's just trying to bowl a really full length,
Yep.
Michael, isn't he? He's just trying to get the batsman to hit down to long off and long on, and just get, you know, he'll take 6 and over. He'll take the ones per ball. That one again is a little bit fuller and through to mid wicket. Another shot at the stumps, but yeah, not a bad over there.
It was pretty good over, yeah.
Besides the 6, I think it was just the one that he got wrong, the full Yorker that he got slightly wrong, and Benny Egan took full toll, and it was a great shot, but closed out the over well.
Yep, so after 12 overs here at the number 1 sports ground, it is the Lions 6 for 71, chasing a total of 173, and they have 102 runs to win. Required rate is 12.8, so it is creeping up still. The run rate at the moment is 5.9. Whilst I just have a quick opportunity, I just want to mention just very quickly, and I was talking on Facebook today to one of the guys, just a quick shout out to the Merriweather A-grade cricket team. My son's been playing a few games with the boys over the years, and he had a game on the weekend, so I just thought I'd give the boys a bit of a mention and say hopefully they're watching the coverage here this afternoon.
They'll be tuning in tonight. The Mary Ellen, will a few of them be down at the Mary Ellen tonight?
No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure where they. I mean, I don't follow them around, so I'm not sure. Maybe they will. Maybe they will. Yeah. So Bills is back on.
The danger man, the
Yes.
marquee for the Sea Dragons. Bit of a slower one.
Ooh, that's good fielding. Good fielding from Rushford there. So it's got to be at least a boundary per over now.
Yeah, well, he's just dropped fine leg and brought both long off and long on to a traditional mid on and mid off. So he might get a little bit something short here. Stayed full and offside.
It's a leg by. So 6 for 74 after 12.3 overs. Keeping it nice and full this over. Trying to restrict the batsman as much as they can. Was a bit short of that one on the leg side, and probably got the treatment that it deserved.
Yeah, well, back-to-back boundaries in 2 overs.
Yep.
It's a boundary last over, a boundary this over. It was interesting though, he's got off strike and he took long on and long off back down the ground and brought fine leg up and pitched it short, which probably got the treatment. It was probably short enough and leg side enough to go to the boundary there. It's a good shot too, yeah.
It's a very good shot.
I'll come back for 2. Yeah, well, you'd think that Benny's going to have to take most of the balls here. He does seem in decent touch. He's cleared the rope and another one to the boundary through square leg, and then just through cover. So he's sort of playing all around the ground, isn't he? He's got 360 degrees on his radar.
Well, he's probably got the attitude of, well, you know, I have a big responsibility here and I need to, you know, score a few quick runs and take a few risks. Yes, it was interesting.
Yeah, appeal for caught behind.
Yeah, but the umpire says no, not interested.
Keeper and bowler interested.
Yes,
but,
umpire not interested. It's the Lions after the 13th over. They're now 6 for 80. And the target 173 to win 93 now off just the 7 overs. So 13.3 is the required rate. So I guess if someone like Ben Egan can get a 4 or a 6 away in all the overs, they might have a chance. That's a nice quick single.
Michael Ratnich into his second.
Yes. Uni must be, the Sea Dragons must be a little bit behind in their overs.
He's jogging
back.
Yeah.
Yep. He moves in.
It's well worked through
Look for a quick, another one. So that'll be a quick 2. Good running.
Probably got caught napping out at the mid-wicket boundary. He's been in the shade for the last few overs, and
yeah.
he's probably bit slow to get going, get the blood through the legs there.
Six for 83.
He's just hitting that full length, isn't he?
Yep.
Radnich.
Was a bit slow that one.
Yeah.
Just took the pace off that one.
Leg buys.
Leg bite.
Yep. Yeah, the shadows are just starting
to come over now, aren't they? Yes.
Yeah, they're sort of creeping through, and they're nearly halfway across the oval. It's played down the ground, full of length from Michael again. He's just sort of happy to milk the 1s and the 2s, and they'll be happy with that. The Sea Dragons there.
Yeah. So what's your, as a player, what's your advice to say, young Pat Houlihan, try and give Ben Egan as much strike as you can? That's what you try and rotate it around.
Yeah, well, I think that's what would be his role. Benny's obviously hitting the ball really well. He's been in good touch, as I said, for most of the year, or for all of the year. He opens the batting in the 2-day stuff. So for the second fiddle role, if you were Benny, you'd obviously be saying, you just look after the 1s, I'll try and do the rest. And then it's sort of a role reversal when for the next bloke to come in, as it looks like there's a wicket.
It's another wicket, yes. That was caught behind, so Pat Houlihan is on his way for the Lions. They've now lost their 7th wickets for 86 after 13.5 overs here at Number One Sports Ground. Here's the replay.
Just a little under edge.
Yeah, a little under edge there. Yeah, it was fairly big edge, wasn't it? And good keeping there from Nathan Hudson.
He hasn't had a bad day with the gloves.
He's had a good day, hasn't he?
A couple of 3 catches and a couple of big leaps behind the stump to stop a few runs.
So the end of the 14th over, it's the Lions 7 for 86.
Sammy Palmer.
And Sammy Palmer's going to come in now.
Yeah. Played a lot of junior cricket with Sam too.
Did you?
Yeah, I think I might have mentioned that earlier, but we had a really good side, a junior side. It was Eastern Districts, formerly known now as Newcastle City.
Yes.
But yeah, we had a lot of good cricketers. We had Mitchie Gilmore, who's a product out of Sam Gilmore's cousin. He was a really good cricketer. and we're all a good bunch of fellas. Like we all got along really well, and we had a couple of good years, and Sammy was a big part of that. But he never really took on the opening bowling role until later. I think through the lower grades of Merriweather, he predominantly played as a batter, and then took up the bowling in the last few years, and he's had some really good years with the ball.
So Bills moves in.
It's a good shot.
It is a good shot, isn't it?
It might have been a call for two there early, and
good shot for one.
Yeah, great shot.
Timed that very well.
This will be his last, Bills. I think
yes,
he bowled the first two, so
should be his last. So it's been worth his while to come up the M1 motorway today to play a bit of summer bash cricket with the Sea Dragons.
He might have carpooled with Scotty on the way up, and
kind of makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, they've both had a day. Although he only faced the one ball, it was very late in the innings.
Yeah, it was.
And then he's got the four, and Scotty carried his bat. And I had a chat to him. I think he round out. He told me mid-60s. He ended up with
mid-60s.
Mid-60s. I don't know. I haven't got an official score, but he seemed to think he got 60 odd. So.
Good ball.
Yeah,
it's just that length, that ball there. It's that length where you're in two minds, aren't you?
It seemed like he could have traditionally played it off the back foot, but it sort of just looked like it crept a little low on him.
Yeah. Aren't these great pictures from Bar TV? Isn't that fantastic? Have a look at that. That's just incredible, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it's great that cricket's being played here under lights. I think New South Wales cricket, they've always had a pretty clear intention of trying to get first-class cricket back to Newcastle.
Yes.
I think that's a priority. I think for the grounds, for the crowds that they can get here, and obviously financially, it's very reasonable and viable for them to bring it here. And it's sort of as a large city outside of Sydney, they're sort of taking their first-class cricket to sort of more west. So I don't understand, or there hasn't enough been made of why we aren't getting the sort of same treatment. If they're still happy to take the game, I know that they're trying to bring it broader to light and get more people interested out west, but. After looking at these pictures, and I'm sure if anyone's tuned in the last sort of 5 days that it's been televised, why we can't get first-class cricket back to Newcastle. Yeah,
well, it's certainly something they've got to build on for the future, and there's a lot of work to be done in that area to bring first-class cricket back into Newcastle, and it's just a matter of a lot of people working together to make that happen over the next few years.
Yeah, well, I could see it will. Definitely will be on the radar.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think we've seen the last of first-class cricket.
Oh no, definitely not. Yeah.
As we'll only get bigger as a city, and they probably won't have much of a choice of bringing games up here with the amount of interest that it gets.
Yeah, sure. Now we just had a no ball there, and we just had a free hit, and it missed everything, and went for a bye.
I think it was a bouncer no ball.
Yeah, it was.
Rather than the waste-off full toss.
Yeah, it was overhead. Over the head. Nice shot.
It was hit hard, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was definitely.
So
in your career, you had many free hits.
I have.
You make the most of them?
No, I haven't. I think I'm probably none from 6 in my time.
So your strike rate's not that great.
It's horrible, and they do it's a funny. You don't really know how to approach a free hit. It's sort of meant for the backyard, the free hit, or you can't get out first ball, or 6 and out, or 6 and over, the fence is out. So to get one fully kitted up in your pads and gloves, and it's probably so you don't train for a free hit. You probably have a slog at the end of the back end of your net, and you probably. Your head's spotting planes more times than not because you're swinging so hard. But No, I've been a bit atrocious in the last couple of years with the free hit.
So obviously most clubs that play against Marcus Hainsworth, when the free hit comes up, they think to themselves, no, this is no problem.
Dot ball, thanks.
No issues here.
It's a good shot through cover. Semi.
So the required rate is getting up to nearly 17 and over. It's getting a bit of a mountain to climb, unfortunately, for Lions supporters. After the 15th over, they were 7 for 89. Moved on down to 7 for 90 here at the number one sports ground. It was well hit too.
Yeah. They've fielded well, haven't they?
Yeah, they have, yes.
Oh, it's the Sea Dragons, I should say, Uni by their 2-day name.
It's hard to get used to it, isn't it?
It is. You even the whips, I find it funny being called the whips as a Belmont cricketer, but you know, it's the razzle dazzle of the 2020. It's all there. But no, I think they've fielded exceptional. Although they've dropped a couple, they weren't easy.
No, they were pretty hard chances, yes.
But no, they definitely looked like they were up for it as soon as they walked out there, and they fielded and bowled really well. Colby and the import Nick Bills. That's a good shot.
That's a great shot.
He's barely even ran for that.
Yeah, gee, hit that well, didn't he? He timed it beautifully.
Made a great sound off the bat, and he only took 2 or 3 paces down the wicket. He knew it was going to the boundary.
Is it just me, or is Michael Ratnich? Has he lost a bit of hair on top? Is it just me?
Well, I'm not one to comment either.
Oh, you've got plenty.
I feel as though I've got plenty, but the talk around the train, you sort of get brought back to reality on the cricket field or off the cricket field in the sheds. And speaking of Facebook earlier, the memes and the memes or
yeah, some of those are funny, aren't they?
I get a lot of hair loss treatment, and it's sort of the old steam train. It's sort of a few boys got it and just gathered more and more momentum every time they seem to talk about it. But I'm not one to throw stones at Michael Radnich about his Tony Blair, that's for sure.
And that's another wicket straight up in the air from Benny Egan. He's obviously trying to force the issue with the Lions losing wickets. And that's another one gone down for the Lions, 8 for 98. Here's the replay. He's just got to go for it, hasn't he, and take some risks.
He batted well, Benny.
He did. He batted very well.
It's some very nice shots.
New batsman in is Dan Morton coming in.
He's got the nod over Harry Colbert.
Yes, he has.
Yeah,
yes.
He's normally legs 11 for the Lions, but
so is that a positive thing for Dan's batting, or when it comes to Harrison's batting? You know,
I think
which way do we go
I
here
think
with
the
this?
hurt from Harrison will be greater than the joy from Dan.
Yes, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. Just getting back to the hair, I mean, you know, you're lucky you've got nice colour hair. You don't want to be like me. You know, when you get older, things certainly change.
It could be a no-win race for poor old Madsy. Radzi might go bald and grey.
He could too, yeah, at the same time, yes. Yeah. We've got James Rushford coming on to bowl. There's Morton off to a good start. That was a nice shot from.
Yeah, full toss, and that's a late Christmas present. The full toss on the first ball, and he played it very well down the ground for one.
It's in the air, all safely. So the Lions have reached 100, 16.2 overs.
They might try and canter back for 2. It's split the 2.
Yep, that's good running if they can make it. Good throw.
Oh,
that was close.
Yeah, it was close.
How many runs do you think Dan Morton's got in his career?
For Merriweather?
Yes. Can someone text us in from the Lions? Maybe we can get a text or something.
I don't think it'd be more than 150.
You don't think so?
No. I know
Jeez, he's played some good shots here.
I know that. Yeah, well,
that's a 4.
Mate, he's proven me wrong. He's come out all guns blazing. He should have come in at 4. But I think there might have been a couple of times in his career when he was batting 11, and Merriweather have probably put on 300 or 400, and he's probably been walking out to bat when Morey's kindly declared a couple of times on him as well. So he probably hasn't had the opportunity as much as as his tally tells us. But I think there was a couple of years there in a row where he didn't even get a bat before Christmas. So
he's getting a bat here today, and he's doing well so far. It's good to see.
He's found the rope and chipped one down the ground to start his innings. So.
And that's the end of the over, the 17th over. It's the Lions 8 for 108 here at the number 1 sports ground for the Newcastle City Summer Bash. And all thanks to also instant access. And it was just wonderful to see a few people getting down to the ground here this afternoon. The shadows have certainly come across the ground now as we get down to the last 3 overs. And to win, the Lions need 65. Run rate required is 21.7 per over, so it's getting to just about the impossible stakes, isn't it, really?
It is. I think Uni have all but banked on the victory.
Palmer, it's a quick single. You've got to go for those when you need 21 and over.
Yep.
Shy at the stumps there, just missed.
Michael Radnich into his third over. You'll probably see it out from the top end.
So what's the chances of Dan Morton hitting a 6 here? What do you think?
He's proved me wrong, Pete, with a 4 already. So I'm not going to ride him off. I probably won't bag him out for a while either.
How would Michael Radnich feel if he gets hit over his head for 6 at the number 1 sports ground from Dan Morton?
I think you'll see a shirt wipe of the brow, a few stern words under his breath, and he'll walk back to his mark.
Yes. It's a field change.
Slow ball. You can sort of they both sort of use that to good effect, both Merriweather and the Sea Dragons with the slower ball. Just to sort of roll your fingers on it, just sort of make it into an off or a leg cutter, and it just bounces one bounce through to the keeper, Nathan Hudson.
That's not a bad shot. You've got plenty of bat on that one for a single. So looking forward to your next game?
Yeah, we've got Cardiff.
Cardiff, yeah.
Cardiff, yeah, in a 2-dayer out at Cardiff. So, I mean, they haven't had the best year this year, but you know, they're always a tough side to beat. They've got a good import as well, who scored a few runs for them. So obviously he'll be key. And then I think that they break away from the ranks of Cardiff Oval next year, and they move on to a new establishment out at Cameron Park.
Yeah, which is pretty exciting for them, isn't it?
Yeah. So from what I'm believed to be told, it's quite a good ground. The facilities are really good. So that being the case, you know, it always helps. That's another wicket.
Dan, yep, he's gone, so Dan Morton's out.
That always helps in recruiting new players.
So the Lions now 9 for 111. 17.5 overs here at the number 1 sports ground. But that was a little cameo from Dan Morton. He's doing what he has to do, just going for it.
He's picked up a couple of wickets too.
Yeah.
Michael Radnich, he's maybe ended up with 3 with 1 to go.
And here's Harrison Colbert coming in.
Here's big Harry Colbert.
He's looking over this way too. I think he must have heard us.
I told him, I pepped him up that I was going to give him a hard time, but he, as I said, he's been a very good bowler for Merriweather for many years, and just been unlucky with injury and the social scene. But he's a guy that everyone gets around. He's a very lovable guy. He's funny, and he always enjoys a beer. So he just loves the game. I'm sure he'll be playing for a few more years to come. If his big calves hold up, he'll be right.
Just a shot of the Lions players there, they're looking very disappointed, which obviously they are. They set a very high standard, Merriweather and the Lions, the club itself. So it's been a tough afternoon, but that's T20 cricket for you sometimes. Got bat on that one.
Yeah, little full toss to start his innings, and he's just punched it down the ground for 1. Yeah, you're right. They do set a reasonable standard, and for years, whoever they've seen to have brought in has always done really well for them. So they, well, like any of us, they don't enjoy losing too often. So I'm sure they'll bounce back for the next doubleheader, or the first doubleheader, I should say.
Yes. Quick single, this could be close. Oh, doesn't hit. That would have been gone.
Would have wrapped up the night too if a direct hit.
So getting back to your game on the weekend against Cardiff, obviously looking forward to getting back out there in the middle.
Yeah. No, I managed to get a couple of runs away. It felt really good the last game against Stockton, and it was just unfortunate but fortunate that a couple of my really good mates got married, which they're both honeymooning on at the moment. So they're away having a great time. So, as I said to you, years gone by, the sacrifices that you make through cricket, you miss those sorts of days and those events. But now that there's not, for me, although the enjoyment and winning are big things in my game, our captain is very understanding. He's quite happy, or he's not happy, but he turns a nice eye to those sort of events for me, which is good.
Yeah.
So,
he understands. He
understands.
It's a part of life, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah. So this weekend against Cardiff, it'll be my first game back. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Certainly pumped up.
Yeah.
Harry Colbert
Off the back foot for one.
Yeah, just for the single. And that's the end of the 19th over. It's the Lions 9-4-1-1-8. So just the 1 over left in this game. I guess you could say you're becoming a professional wedding attendant.
Yeah, well, we've had a few over the years. Me and Courtney have been together for nearly a good part of 5.5 years, and I think we've attended something like 30 weddings.
Wow, that's a lot, isn't it?
Definitely the late 20s, maybe the 30s, but yeah, with the weddings, the buck shows and the engagement parties.
Yes.
So, and we're both quite big family people. So in between that, we've got birthdays and christenings and all sorts of stuff. So it's good. It keeps you busy, and it keeps your mind off things at work and away from cricket at times as well. So
it comes back to that balance thing, doesn't it? I was talking earlier on. Yep, you just got to have that good balance. If you can strive for that, you're sort of halfway there. That's for sure.
New
Hit
bowler,
that one okay.
New bowler.
This is a fella called Bryce Element coming on for the final over.
Late scratching, I think, was there? Luke Webster and
Luke Webster was.
Bryce is coming.
He's coming to into the Sea Dragons outfit this afternoon, and he gets the opportunity to bowl the final over here today at the number 1 sports ground.
Potentially take a wicket too.
Yeah,
with the last wicket. Another one down the ground, Semi Palmer. Take one.
I'm sure Harrison would love you to be commentating on him hitting a nice 6 here at the number 1 sports ground, wouldn't he?
Yeah, definitely. I think he'll be batting for Red Ink though. He'll try and take Dan's spot, so he'll have no complaints if he walks off with a 5 or 6 not out.
No, I don't think he will.
And speaks to Maury and says, I should be moving up. Although looking at that, he's trying to clear the pickets.
Yes, he is. Yeah, that's a good length ball.
Little French cut for one.
Well, it's been good to have you on the commentary this afternoon.
Yeah, no, I've enjoyed it.
Thanks for coming along. Really appreciate it.
No, it's been good. It's been. I was still on holidays last week when Gareth Wozick, who runs it, gave me a text and asked me if I was interested, and I said, look, I'm unfortunately away on holidays, but I'll be back next week, and he just replied, you're in. So, and I've known him for a lot of years, back to the rugby days as well. But no, I thoroughly enjoyed the afternoon. It's been awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's just something a bit different to come and do this sort of thing and still be part of the T20 game, even if you're not playing there. You're still here commentating on the game. So it's going to be 4, is it? No, I think he stopped that. That's good fielding.
Just the two.
Just the two there. So yeah, no, it's you know, and to get different, I guess, outlooks on a player that's still playing the game as well. There's the replay here.
It's a good shot through cover.
Yeah, a nice shot. Just a nice piece of fielding at the end here. Just got it.
Oh, done well.
So a fairly convincing win for the Sea Dragons today. They'd be pretty happy with this performance. And that's the game. So winners today at the number 1 sports ground. Congratulations to the Sea Dragons, the University Club over the Lions, and the Lions scored 9 for 125 after their 20 overs. We do thank the Newcastle City Council once again. Thanks to Instant Access, and thank you to Marcus Hainsworth for being here. And we wish you all the best for your game on the weekend against Cardiff. And as you said, it's your first game back for a while, so you're looking forward to just getting out in the middle, and hopefully you'll score plenty of runs on the weekend.
No, thank you very much, and thanks for having me.
Any time. So, and thank you very much for tuning in this afternoon. We do appreciate all the support that Bar TV gets with the coverage of some wonderful cricket over this summer, and it does continue again tomorrow as well. So make sure you get down to a number 1 sports ground and support the Bar TV team. And if you can't get down to the ground, of course, what you do is you tune in, and you can watch all the action as the summer bash continues for the Newcastle City Council tomorrow here at number 1 sports ground. And as we mentioned again, thanks to Instant Access for their great support as well. This has been Pete Davis with Marcus Hainsworth signing off here at the number 1 sports ground, and we look forward to your company tomorrow afternoon for the Summer Big Bash, all thanks to the Newcastle City Council.
Thanks, Pete. Pleasure.
Mate, he's a natural, mate. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Couldn't shut me up.
After cricket,
going through bowls of water like they